know what's going on tonight, so we go live on YouTube, guys. We've been having some technical issues with the actual Twitter space broadcast, so that's what we had. We were delayed big time. I had went live. I normally go live on X 5 minutes before I go live on YouTube, and we were having some technical issues. I just had to stop the space, create another space. Everybody that was up in the space, I think maybe was on maybe 4-5 minutes, and everybody that was on that space is now gone. So we're trying to go ahead and get our people to come back in the actual space. Tonight we're going to be talking about a Haitian fellow by the name of Erikson that's on X. He published an article talking about the rejection of the rejection of African influence in Black American culture. He titled it an FBA tale. He put a disclaimer saying that this wasn't about Black Americans per se, but it was more directed towards what I guess he considers a fringe group of Black Americans in this country, actual FBA type people. So I want to go ahead and I want to touch up on that article. Shout out to Christian. I see you up in here, Prophet, guys. We had to restart the space up, so now we're getting our people coming in. Y'all definitely go ahead and retweet the space out. I'm glad to see that it took us a minute to get this thing rolling, but we got it rolling, and we're gonna go ahead and we got an interesting discussion tonight. We got a very interesting discussion. I don't know if you guys know of the cat by the name of Erikson. Shout out to you, Extreme X. I see you over there on YouTube, and he wrote an article. He published it here. He was supposed to come in here tonight. I don't know if he tried to come in because we was having some issues with it. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to touch up on this article right now as our people come in. You know, they'll be coming in here shortly, but I want to go ahead and touch because we're running behind because I was, 8 o'clock. I like to go ahead and get it started, but I bookmarked his article as well too. And I was trying to give our family a little bit of time to come up in here so they can check out this article. And I went ahead and I tagged people, not tag people, but I went ahead in the actual post that he had about the article. I went in there and I let everybody know that it was going to be a space. I took the direct title of what he put in there, and I'm glad Professor's coming up in here so he can co-host. So while I read this article, we can start letting people come up as well too. So I'm glad Professor should be able to come up in here. But Professor, when you get that co-host invite, let me know. People are coming in on YouTube. So Professor is up in the spot. So Professor, can you hear me? We had to restart it, but it seemed like we're there now.
Yeah, I'm up here, man, and it's update. It's an update too, folks. So make sure y'all done the update.
Okay.
On the X app.
So Professor DJ, I'm gonna go ahead and read. If our people want to come up here, I'm gonna read this article that the cat Erikson put in here. If our people want to come up here, go ahead and approve them. Let them in the speaker section. But while I'm reading, y'all can go ahead and approve people to come up here. But let me go ahead and touch up on this article real quick. Like I said, we was delayed by the by this thing on X, but we here now, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna touch up on this article.
Hey, I was just gonna say, could you give it just like another 60 seconds? Let me reshare this room out. 60 seconds, all right?
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. But I want to go.
Everybody share the room out, grab the link, share it to your platforms. Newstoter, largest Black curated news on the web, 30,000 articles pertaining to Black life. Come on up there. Make sure y'all come up and get a subscription too, fam. Let's go. Share the room out.
And for those that don't know, Erikson is a Haitian cat. He wrote this on October 25th. If you're on X, his handle is @RickySun89. So, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start up. I'm gonna go ahead and get into it right now. It says the title, and I put the exact title, except I did add Haitian Man Rights on YouTube. I couldn't get it all on X, but it says the rejection of African influence in Black American culture, an FBA tale of lost identity. Disclaimer: this article is directed at a specific subset of arguments, specifically to the FBAs, and is not intended to generalize or address the beliefs of all Black Americans. He says, I joined a Twitter space last night titled Are Caribbeans and Africans Black? Hosted by @Wartime 2023 and co-hosted by @BuggingJune. The conversation initially centered around defining Blackness, which I found frustrating as some participants only recognize Blackness as it pertains to Black Americans. This narrow view seems short-sighted and even misguided. As the discussion progressed, it shifted to American culture's relationship with Africa. This experience confirmed what I've always suspected, that some members of the foundational Black American FBA, he put hashtag community, are keen to distance themselves from Africa. Unfortunately, I couldn't fully express my perspective and offer insights to educate others, as they were muting the stage every 12 seconds, and ended the conversation abruptly to attend a space hosted by Tariq Nasheed. He called Tariq Nasheed their cult leader. So Erikson says that he labeled Tariq Nasheed as their cult leader. He says, it's understandable that some Black Americans may feel resentment toward Africa, given the painful reality that certain African leaders participated in the transatlantic slave trade, selling captives to European enslavers who would ultimately bring them to the Americas. This betrayal by some African societies adds a layer of complexity to the Black American experience, a wound that's never fully healed. To deny African influence on Black American culture is quite frankly blasphemous. The misguided notion among some FBA reflects not a well-thought rejection, but a fractured sense of self, a disturbance in the quest for identity shaped more by the cohesive effects of white supremacy than by true cultural understanding. To deny African influence in Black American culture is at its core a denial of self. The sentiment, while understandable, also reveals a tragic legacy of white supremacy, a disruption in the journey towards self-identity and acceptance. The rejection of African roots is not merely an assertion of American uniqueness, but rather a symptom of a culture that's been manipulated to prioritize Eurocentric ideals over African heritage, leaving a void where acceptance and self-respect should flourish. He went ahead and he put a couple tweets in there. He put from the social, I can't see who it is, says Africans were the ones who sold Africans in the slave trade. The white man never had the idea. We gave the idea because we were using ourselves as slaves. I don't even know what this guy, what he's trying to read or whatever, or how he's spelling, whatever. He tried to quote some tweets, but it was hard to make it out. He goes on saying the living conditions and culture continuity. It is true that the United States, in contrast to places like Haiti, Jamaica, face a unique culture erosion due to the proximity of enslaved Africans to their white enslavers. In America, the constant exposure to Euro-American norms led to a forced assimilation that suppressed African traditions. Enslaved Africans were coerced into adopting English, practicing Christianity, and aligning with European customs as a means of survival. Black American spirituals, for instance, arose from a blend of African rhythmic roots and European Christian influences, creating a hybrid culture. While resilient, couldn't escape the shadow of white dominance. On the other hand, Haiti's revolution led to a rapid expulsion of Europeans, giving Haitians a space to preserve African traditions without the same degree of cultural oppression. African-based practices like voodoo flourished. The Creole language emerged with African linguistic traits, and African customs remained strong in Haiti, art, dance, and community life. The difference explains why the Caribbean reflects more visible African heritage today. Haiti, Jamaica, ended slavery long before the U.S., with Haiti achieving freedom in 1804 and Jamaica in 1838. Unlike in the U.S., Caribbean societies had a chance to assert their own identities, embracing African traditions with pride rather than burying them under European ideals. So while it's understandable that Black American culture took on a different form, this diversion hardly means African roots vanished. It simply means that white influence has permeated American Black identity to an extent that is hard to unwind, an unfortunate byproduct of a culture that prioritized survival over self-determination. Wow. Okay. A misunderstanding of race, origin, and culture. There's a certain irony here. While some FBAs claim an exclusive Black identity that disassociates from Africa, they fail to grasp the intricate and inseparable connections between race, origin, and culture. It's as if they cannot see that the very traits they cherish in their music, food, spirituality, and even rhythm are born out of African heritage. This Black exclusiveness they profess is built on sand washed away by a tide of historical facts they choose to ignore. Their selective blindness to Africa's culture legacy is, to put it bluntly, an effect of white supremacy at its finest. If white society has spent centuries enforcing the myth of African inferiority, it seems some FBAs accepted this narrative, casting aside the richness of their African heritage in favor of an identity rooted in white America's view of blackness. Consider Haiti, where enslaved Africans fought tooth and nail to end their subjugation, rising against colonial forces in 1804, achieving a freedom they seized on their own terms. Haitians did not wait for permission. They threw off the shackles themselves and established the first Black Republic. Haitians took destiny into their own hands, creating a society where African traditions, language, and spirituality remain prominent. This revolutionary heritage infused Haitian identity with pride, purpose, and an unshakable sense of self-determination. In contrast, the end of slavery in the United States came as a result of the Civil War, a struggle driven more by economic and political interests than by genuine commitment to the equality for Black people. Freedom for many Black Americans was handed to them in a manner that fell short of true liberation. The lingering effects of this have led to a paradoxical form of white sympathy that manifests in an identity still tethered to Euro-American norms rather than embrace their African roots. Some FBAs cling to this imposed identity, unwilling to release the safety of familiarity for the authenticity of African culture. It is universally recognized that Black people, regardless of whether they are in Africa, the Caribbean, or America, have an unmatched connection to rhythm, dance, and soul. This culture groove is something that Europeans, despite their best attempts, simply cannot replicate. From the African drum circles to Jamaican reggae to Haitian canopa to Black American jazz and hip hop, this rhythmic expression unites people of African descent. No matter how much cultural appropriation occurs, no European will be able to mimic the raw and structural rhythm that courses through African descended people's veins. To deny this gift has African roots is a blatant disservice to one's own ancestry. The plantation legacy, the shared experience of enslavement across the West, whether in the U.S., Caribbean, or South America, Black people's lives during slavery were shaped by plantation labor and some brutal realities. The plantation served as a crucible of forced labor where African traditions intermingled and adopted, forging the cultural expressions that we now associate with the African diaspora communities. It was in these fields that ancestors shared stories, songs, and preserved what fragments of their culture they could. To claim a Black American identity without recognizing its plantation roots is to ignore the origins of an experience that is inseparable from Africa. For all the self-imposed exclusivity some FBAs claim, Black American culture shares undeniable similarities with the Haitian culture. Food traditions, spiritual practices, and community dynamics mirror one another in more ways than many admit. For instance, soul food staples like yams, okra, and greens have roots directly traceable to Africa, just as Haitian cuisine blends African, Taino, and French influences. Likewise, the resilience and storytelling present in Black American churches resonate with spiritual strength. The Haitian voodoo ceremonies, these shared cultural threads are undeniable, whether acknowledged or not. So, yeah. Old boy said a whole lot in that article. He's supposed to be coming up in here tonight. Now, I don't know if he want to actually come up in here, but he was talking about coming up in here as well, too. So this is from the cat Erikson. Erikson was in there a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month or so ago. DJ Professor, y'all remember when he was up in here? We was talking about
yeah, it was actually probably about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, about 3 weeks ago.
About 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but I know we were talking about somehow we got speaking on the relationship that Haitians had with Black Americans and stuff, and him being in Florida, and we had to kind of I had to kind of pull it back with some of that stuff he was talking about.
Ohio Trump thing.
Okay, it was Ohio Trump thing. I couldn't remember exactly what it was, but I know he was up in the space.
They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, and all.
So
Pets for Trump.
So this is the article that he wrote on X. I should have read some of the comments, because some of the comments, people, they were not happy campers, to say the least, with the actual article that he put out on there. this guy says a lot. Now, from my understanding too, this dude is in his 20s, and he has quite the experience and quite the knowledge on Black Americans and our history and everything else as well too. Pretty much, he made he made some remarks in that article where he was basically saying, the Haitians freed themselves, and pretty much, we were given liberation to a certain degree. That they fought off of the bondage, which I commend them for that. We also have to look at the geography and everything as well too. You're talking about states with slaves as compared to an island, and that's not to take away from what they did. But let's be for real. It's one thing being on a little island, and it's another thing being on anywhere from 13 to how many of the states there were. Once we got past the original 13 colonies, that all had slaves on there as well too. Hey, Jan, I see you got your hand up, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you get it. How you doing tonight?
Hey, good evening. Peace and blessings to the room. Shout out to everybody in the space. Yeah, I actually wanted to come up in here because I wanted to address him directly in regards to that little piece that you just shared just now, because like you said, if you look at the residuals on the ground logistically, unlike the U.S., you're talking about these islands throughout the Caribbean where their home, literally, quote, the home office, like in the UK, or all these other colonies are over in Europe. Our government is right here. We've been literally in the belly of the beast since 20 and some odd Negroes have been brought here. So the fact that he is positioning this argument and saying that, they were able to free themselves and take destiny in their own hand, and we were just literally just, given our freedom just based on compromise, he completely left out the whole abolitionist movement. There was resistance from day one, but especially when you look at the abolitionist movement, there were people that were mobilizing and strategizing on setting the groundwork on getting our people out of slavery, liberated by any means. It just so happened that this war kicked off, and we were given an opportunity to be able to participate in the war in exchange of being able to be freed and getting laws and statutes put in place for our protection and our economic development and growth. The fact that he left that out was just bizarre, but it's to be expected because they are pretty much looking at our people as if we're some type of online cult at this point, and we're being looped in to this whole cult ethos that these Pan-African communists have created online. And the other thing I recently said in the space with I think DJ or Black Majority had a few days ago last week, when one of these Pan-Africans had came into one of our spaces. At this point, the only thing the Pan-African can I need to know from them is what is the love affair that they have with communism, Marxism, and socialism, and if they hate this government and they hate this country so much, how come they have not forfeited their paychecks and the dollar that they're getting paid for? Because if you're saying that you don't like this country, you hate America, and you guys shouldn't be flying the American flag and all this stuff, the last thing you should be doing is accepting blood money from the very country that is destabilizing your nations. And if you're not willing to do that, it's high time for them to shut up and get out of our way of producing justice for our people at this point, because I've just personally just had it. And this is coming from somebody with my nephew is part Haitian, and my sister is married to a Haitian. Thank God they're not on no weird stuff, but this Pan-African stuff that's, operating, this communist type socialist Pan-African stuff operating under the guise of Pan-Africanism, I just kind of had it. So I actually want to have them explain what is this love affair with communism and socialism, and why haven't they forfeited being paid in that capitalistic American dollar if they so hate this country, and why won't they forfeit their payroll and paying taxes into the very system that is allegedly exploiting their nations. And I'll land there.
Thank you, Aon. Now, he said he was going to come through. Now he may have thought about it and said, you know what? Well, I put this article out and I want to talk and stuff like that, but I really don't want to address it because he saw it. He asked me what time it was. He said he set the reminder and everything else as well too. Now I did have to restart this space. I did have to restart because I was having some technical issues, so I had to go ahead and restart it. But if he's out there, guys, y'all tag him in the post and what is it at Ricky son 89 or something like that. That's Erikson. So y'all tag him because I want him to come up in here and explain this as well too. Because from my understanding, Erikson is in his 20 something, so he has this great knowledge, this great history about Black American culture and everything that we've been through and this and that or whatever, and what we don't understand about ourselves. He can tell us better about ourselves apparently than we can. So I would love for him to come in here and explain this as well too, and just kind of educate the room and everybody else on what he's saying. So I want to hear. I definitely want to hear him come up in here. When he comes up in here too, I'm going to allow him to talk. If he does come up in here tonight, I'm letting everybody know. I'm going to allow him to talk. Y'all raise your hand. Don't interrupt. I want this man to come up in here. If he does come up in here and show up, which I don't know if he will. He said he will, but like I said, he may have decided against that. But if he comes up in here, let him speak. And then anybody that wants to rebuttal, you want to, you know what I'm saying? Anything that he says you want to challenge, and go ahead, raise your hand, and we will get to you.
Hey, Toto, I got a question. In that article, did he say anything about where his island is right now and why he's not over there right now in that island since he's so proud? I mean, did he write anything about that?
No, he didn't say anything about that, Professor.
It seems like to me the island is ambushed and just scattered everywhere now. Where's his island at? Because it's like nobody's over there.
Well, they got plenty of people over there, but it's in total chaos. So I mean, while he's giving us an educational history about our cultural roots, he's giving us a history about wars and freedom and independence and everything else like that as well too. He should be able to give us a lesson today about the infrastructure and everything that's going on, and what's the poorest nation in the Western world. So of course, I'm sure when he uses that, because he made sure to talk about basically how we, and what did he say? We chose self-preservation basically over what did he put in there? We chose self-preservation over something. He put in a little snide remark that he put in there, whatever. So he
yeah, you know what I say to that, man? To me, unless you're writing an article about how you can go back to your nation and build that shit, excuse my French, back up, and the way you talking about how y'all stood on point and had a revolution over there, and y'all got y'all freedom. But guess what? Since y'all did that freedom the first time on your own, go on back over there and do the same thing. Just do a repeat of what you did back in 1800.
Make another hole.
There you go. Go back over there and repeat what you did back then. There you go. Write an article about that. We're going to go back home. And by the way, we don't want y'all taking our cats and dogs from over here. So y'all all get back on that ship and go on back over there and build that nation back up. Since y'all are so proud of what you did. There you go.
Yeah, let me go ahead and get to I'm not sure if Stephanie was first, but I'm gonna get to Stephanie, then I get the original because I know she'd be working at nighttime. Or what's going on, Miss Stephanie?
Oh no, it's Original Blood, and it's someone else, and then I go last.
Okay. Ladies first, Stephanie.
Can you go because I'm at work right now? Thank you.
Oh, she's at work, so you go ahead, Original.
Okay. I find this interesting. I'm beginning to believe that these people that are coming out here and making these attacks on us, I'm leaning towards that they are possibly some type of an op for this government. Because see, I've met Haitians when I was in California, and there's one sister that I met. She's a really nice sister, and she said to me, "Now he's talking about us identifying with Europeans and this, that, and whatever." And she and I was having a conversation, and she shared with me that she had, she rebuked Catholicism, and she re-engaged in her indigenous spiritual belief. And her family had issues with that. They was like, basically, they were somewhat disowning her. And I find it odd that these people, they come up here, they say all this stuff about us. They're all up into our culture. When in fact, for decades, these people have not identified as black. You call them black, they would say that they're Haitian, they're Jamaican, they're whatever. But now, all of a sudden, when reparation has become a hot ticket item, all of a sudden, we this universal African and we all black, and now because they want to try to see how they can segue themselves into this reparations demand. And it's the same thing in the Caribbean. I had a professor. I was taking a class what was it a literature of some type of English class at Confronting college. And this guy, he said, we were having a conversation. I forget what this indigenous tongue that they speak in Jamaica, but he said that's like they consider that to be slang because it's not the queen, the degenerate queen's English or whatever, And I just find it odd that they continue to say that we, FBAs, Foundation of Black Americans, they tend to say that we tend to want to lean towards these Europeans, but they continue to do what they accuse us of doing. And I've heard this from their mouths. This is not something that I'm making up. I mean, it's insane. It's like these people, they appear to have psychological issues. Because I know when something was going on about the music, and this brother, he produced an album cover of Bob Marley and the Wailers. And they was dressed up just like Smokey Robinson and the Miracle. So I think it's some form of hate and jealousy or whatever that they have for us, because they keep trying to put us in this pigeonhole that we don't fit. And I'm like, there is something wrong with this picture. Because remember, Newstoter, I shared with you some time ago that when Haiti had their first earthquake, there was a sister. She had some type of organization, something Mothers for Africa. But there's a white organization kind of have a similar name, so you have to be careful when you look it up. But we raised money. We raised money for her to go to Haiti, and she went. And she said this degenerate white Christian was going around asking people what was their religion, and she said, "I don't have one. I'm in the spirituality." So this degenerate white Christian was going around telling the Haitians not to deal with her. See, these people, they view white people differently than we do. But this one brother, he was a doctor or something. He said, "No, you are my sister, and I'm going to work with you." But see, a lot of them, they don't have that mentality. They have the mentality that they're trying to get close to these white folks for what they are accusing us of, and they're doing it themselves. But see, they always say that we don't know who we are. We don't know our name. Well, hell, while you all still have these French and English names. This makes no damn sense. Don't come trying to ridicule us because we understand now that you have never been, for the most part, I would say, they've never been an ally to us. And now they want us to come up here and all of a sudden we brothers and sisters. No, that's not how it works. We can't ally with people that we can't trust. We can trust them. Hell, we got problems with some of our own symbols that sell us out. And we're not going across, reaching across any kind of water, trying to ally with somebody that we have no idea who you are. So I just wanted to say that, Newstoter, and I hope this guy does come up because this is all about them. And they got really pissed off when California made reparations, lineage-based, which it cuts them out. See, for decades, and I've seen some of these people myself. I'm not black. I'm whatever. And as far as rejecting African culture, it's just like what Smokey Robinson said. Smokey Robinson said, don't call me an African American. He said, I'm a black American. He said, because to call him an African American, that will take away from all the culture and everything we created in this country. But see, these old degenerate broke Pan-Africans, that's all they have ever done. As I said, I think I said this in your space, Newstoter. I know some Pan-Africans. They were always berating Black American culture. They degraded the blues, they degraded R&B, but they were uplift African music. Hell, I heard one of them not too long ago when what's the little boy named Burna Boy? He was going to be at the Grammys, and he said, oh, we're going to have some real music now at the Grammys. These people, Pan-Africans are sick. They are some degenerate, sick, and demented people. I don't know what's wrong with them. How can you hate what you came from, but you're going to praise something that you just want to make yourself a part of? It makes no damn sense. And I'm going to land before I start babbling again. But this is an issue now. If they want to have a conversation, we can have this conversation. But they're going to have to come in truth because they have been disseminating lies about us, and we're not going to put up with it anymore in our lane.
Appreciate that, Original. Erikson got scared. He was supposed to come in here tonight. He talked about he set the reminder. Like I said, I did have to restart the space up. But I told him, like, yeah, he said, yeah, he's going to come in. He wanted to know what time. Oh, I see the time and stuff like that. He was shooting off your mouth. Now was the time to come in here and address the entire room as well, too. It ain't too late. I don't even think this boy is on, I don't even think he's on X tonight. I think he went ahead and he said, well, you know what? I decided not to go in that space after all because I don't want to hear everybody getting in on me or whatever, which he knew it was going to happen. Like I said, I was still going to let him come up here and talk and stuff, but you got those kind of balls and you can sit up here and put an article out like that, giving us a history lesson on our own history, what we are and what we're not, then by all means, come on up in here and educate us all up in here because the vast majority of people in this space are older than him. So for somebody to be in there, because I had to educate him last time about the treatment of how Haitians was getting treated in Florida. Like, don't come in here with all that stuff. Like, nobody was running behind y'all with pitchforks and all that stuff. No, bro, you're not finna sit up here. You talk about what your brother and them told you. You don't even know anything that happened. So, nah, you ain't finna sit up here and say all this stuff when it was Black Americans sitting up here, when they was putting y'all on them rafts and sending y'all back across the ocean. There was Black people down there with picket signs and everything else to try to get y'all into this country. So, nah, you're not going to sit up here and be disrespectful and just sit up here and lie. People holding food drives and clothing drives and everything else, getting y'all haircuts in the neighborhood, giving you hand-me-downs and stuff like that. You're not going to sit up here and just tell a bunch of lies. I see we got my girl Stephanie up here. I see, what's up, Ish? I see you up here as well, too. Stephanie, go ahead and unmute your mic. You got it.
Hey, salute to the entire chat. The usual suspects is in the building. How you guys doing? First off, thank you for allowing me to speak. Okay. What I'm gonna say is this is coming. I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud because this is getting ridiculous. Okay. number one, if we're not in tune with our Africanness, we are aware that phenotypically we have, an African, phenotype, yeah. But we also have an admixture of European. We also have an admixture of Native American and some Asian in some cases, right? My thing is, why are these people trying to force Africanism on the people here in this country? When I've personally heard a lot of people from the Caribbean saying that they are indigenous to the Caribbean and they don't consider themselves African. And I've heard it. So I don't understand what this obsession is. How come he's not telling the Dominicans that? You couldn't even cross the cross the mountains to go into the Dominican Republic without them chasing you and calling you all kinds of horrible names. Why are you trying to force this on us? Why don't you tell them that they have African roots and they should embrace their African roots? It's bad enough they're already trying to strip us of our music. They're trying to strip us of our history. They're trying to strip us of everything. Because not everything came from Africa. Everything that we did was on this soil. Okay? And that includes soul music, Delta blues, and all these other genres of music that we came up with. So, I'm just getting tired of everybody trying to take credit for something that we did through blood, sweat, and tears. Literal blood, sweat, and tears. And I'm tired of people trying to do that. First, we don't have no culture. First, we're this, we're dogs, we're lazy, we're all kinds of stuff. Now you're sitting up here calling my people your people. To me, that's the biggest insult. Okay? We're colonized. We don't speak our language. We don't speak our language. Neither do you. You don't speak your language either. And it's just like Original said. Yes, you have French names, but you're worried about our English surnames. I don't get that. You got issues beyond issues here and abroad. Why are you not focusing on the issues that come from your community or throughout the Caribbean diaspora? Because you guys align yourself within your own communities and you want nothing to do with us. So to me, this is actually maddening. It really is maddening. They speak French, they speak Creole, they speak Spanish, they speak English. If that's not colonized, if you don't know the original language that your ancestors originally came from, then you have a colonized mindset. And you can call it whatever you want, but it is a colonized mindset. And there was a video out years back with George W. Bush, HW. And he said if Haiti sank to the bottom of the ocean or went well above, all the way up in the clouds, they would not care. What part don't this man understand? I'm sure, you said he was in his 20s, okay? But this is just ridiculous. It's gone far enough. And Black Americans are fed up. And this is the part that they don't understand. Black Americans are fed up. And Black Americans are fed up with the tribalism that comes along with coming over here. They're fed up with being locked out of resources. And they help continue to lock us out. This is why they're taking a lot of managerial and supervisory positions, because they only cater to their own kind. And this is how we get to this point. And as far as the Pan-Africanism thing, I used to be a big-time Pan-Africanist. Big time. Anything that was going on overseas, I'm like, yeah, we got to help these people out. They need our help. But then I realized one day, my people need us here. My people need help here. Why are we going far and beyond out of our way to help people only to be called niggas, Yankees, Akatas, and all these other horrible names that they have for us? Knowing that these people are terribly tribalist, but yet we're supposed to still help them out. And this is what they don't get. Black America is fed up. A lot of them will say it. A lot of them will say, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. But believe me, they are thinking it. And a lot of people are finally waking up to this nonsense. Anybody that has any type of interaction with these people are saying the same things. It's not a coincidence. Nobody is hating these people. They are simply fed up with the nonsense because they're tribal, xenophobic. All of the stereotypes, they feed into the stereotypes about us. So how does he and other people that think like him is supposed to feel when the shoe is on the other foot? And I'm going to land right there for 1 minute. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. Y'all make sure y'all go ahead and retweet this space out from my people on YouTube. Make sure y'all go ahead and share the broadcast on all your social media platforms. We still trying to get that membership up for the Newstoter.com platform. For those that can support us, you can join for as little as $1.75 a month. Support the largest Black-owned Black American news media curation platform today in America for as little as $1.75. PayPal reoccurring charge, guys, as little as $1.75. You can support Black-owned business. For those that don't or can't, you can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, $Newstoter, Newstoter. If you ain't got Cash App, if you can't go ahead and become a member, then we do have the PayPal and Venmo up in the Jumbotron. Same for the people on YouTube. We have the actual customer portal link on the actual screen in the description, and we have the Cash App, and we got the Venmo, PayPal up in the description. I'm gonna get to you, Ayon. I see we got a new speaker up here, Ish. So let me go ahead and get to her, and then I'll come back to you, Ayon. How you doing tonight? How you doing, Ish?
Hey, peace to you, for the Newstoter, and peace to you, for the DJ. Stephanie, I love everything you said. Peace to all the speakers. Original, I love what you said. Professor, peace to you. And everybody in the room. I want to actually start off and piggyback a little bit. So first of all, the Haitian Revolution, which was in 1804, was the prologue to 250 slave rebellions, successful, by the way, slave rebellions in the United States by Black Americans. This is what led to abolition laws dating as early as the early to mid 1700s in northern states. Even though these states were not always, practicing what the policy was on paper, there were still a good amount of people, our people who were in northern states had a little self-liberated, and so on and so forth. And so, and not just self-liberated, but we're still experiencing the vestiges of chattel slavery while monumentally building a first world country, the country that we have now. So that stands to reason. The reason why people, and I'm just kind of going off real quick what Ayon put in the Jumbotron, I think it was Ayon, so in the Jumbotron, the three pictures that you put up there, is, when people kind of mention, typically folks from the Asian community mention that folks feel some type of way because, or talk about the Haitians in a denigrative way, it's because when you have a slave revolt, right, and then, hundreds of years later, you're seeing desolation, you're still seeing things like corruption, you're still seeing your country in a third world status, you're not seeing the elevation through innovations or inventions. That stands to reason how successful that revolt actually was. So really people are measuring this by that. Whereas for Black Americans, it's the antithesis of that. Not to mention, other things like Refuting. If you don't know about that, I'll post a link. But also the fact that they paid millions upon millions of dollars to their colonizers, something that Black Americans have never done. So that's the other element to this. So we're measuring this by the rate of success and the longevity of that success. If you say that your slave rebellion influenced the freedoms of Black America, but you can't substantiate that in terms of its longevity, then that stands to reason that that wasn't actually an influence. Another thing that they like to bring up is the Louisiana Purchase. And there's this really lovely document about the Louisiana Purchase in regards to how certain aspects of slavery actually worsened for Black Americans at that time as a result of Haitian influence and the pirating and some of the other things that were happening with contraband slaves and things of that nature in that particular region. So when they mention these things, they're mentioning these things on the basis of, we did this, and because we did it first, that means it influenced you. But influence implies success, and the rate of success and the longevity of the success. And for Black Americans, just as the Haitian Revolution did absolutely nothing for our people, if anything, worsened the conditions, because it piqued this idea in slave owners. This is documented, that we don't want our people to rebel, so now we're going to tighten up on how we implement certain brutality or levels of savagery for these people, and this is very well documented. The Louisiana Purchase also was not an influence. The other thing is the music. I know one of the things that people love to talk about are Afrobeats. I really encourage people to read Fela Kuti's biography. He explicitly talks about how he got his style from Sandra Isadora, a Black American Black Panther. I believe she's still alive today, actually. But she also has been named from a lovely article from face-to-faceafrica.com, which is an African news outlet, as the mother of Afrobeats, who influenced the style of Fela Kuti. So when we're talking about actually having these tangibles and getting it from the horse's mouth, Fela Kuti from his own mouth mentioned in his biography that this woman was the woman who influenced not only what led to the genre of Afrobeats, but the literal sound of Afrobeats and the precursors that became what is now Afrobeats today. Like influence, again, has to imply success, and it has to imply the longevity of success. And I think that's the part that gets missed in a lot of these articles, that particularly this article. So I wanted to mention those two things because music and rebellions are the two things I'm very well versed on, but those are also two huge topics and very, very broad topics that have a lot of tangible information to kind of show the differentiation between us and folks in the Caribbean or folks on the continent in the difference. There's a lovely woman named Ella, and I'll say this in the land. There's a lovely woman named goes by Miss Ella Baker on here, and she's a percussionist. She's been a percussionist for decades now, and she's also a musical historian. She teaches at the university in New York City, and she specifically went through the music theory and composition differentiations between percussion instruments or percussion playing from a melodic perspective, and percussion instruments and percussion playing on the continent, because a lot of people like.
Yep, you still there? Hey, Ish, are you there? I know we lost her. Can you hear me, Ish?
Ish, you there, sister? Third eye in the building. 1, 2, you there? If you can hear us, drop down.
I don't know if she can hear us. Ish, can you hear us?
Yeah, I just removed it from speak aids. Sister Ishmael, come back up here if you can hear your phone acting up.
Hey, this cat Erikson, he had, I put it up in the Jumbotron. He look on the far left hand side. He's talking about, hey, my meeting is taking longer than I expected. I'll be home in about an hour. Hope y'all are still on. Bro, I don't remember you saying nothing about no meeting. I don't remember you said nothing about no meeting. How your boy Tupac said it on Juice. This nigga's scared. That's what it is. No, you ain't hear nothing about no meeting before. Now you got a meeting. Now before you was gonna come up in there, now you got a meeting. You ain't got no damn meeting this late at night, bro. Stop lying. Let me go ahead and get to Ayon. Ayon, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Oh no, I just wanted to also add earlier. I can't remember if it was Mrs. Stephanie had stated, but I think Ishmael had touched on it too. But I remember growing up in Miramar, my 9th grade year, I attended Miramar High School, which is not too far away from Miami.
South Broward, yeah.
Okay, yeah. See, I'm not familiar because it's been so long. I've been a lot of places, with my dad being in the military at the time and traveling, so we was always on the go. So I attended a lot of schools throughout Florida, but when he was on assignment there, I attended Miramar High School, and I distinctly remember the environment and climate there was being very hostile, and it was one of the first times where I had to come out because Jamaicans and Haitians would go at it, the Dominicans would be going at it with the Haitians, and it was just, like you said, tribal warfare throughout the schools. And I remember one time a major brawl erupted in one of the classrooms, and somehow they was trying to label me a Haitian or something, and I had to come out and say, no, I'm a Black American. I'm from here to make that that initial distinction. And I just remember growing up, like even when the whole Elian Gonzalez thing had happened, I think that was like my 11th and 12th grade year.
Yeah, that was like 99, 98, 99.
Yeah, I wrote a paper on that, sympathizing. That was the first time where I saw a distinction in treatment towards the white Cubans that were arriving, because us growing up in Florida, we know how to differentiate the white Cubans from the black Cubans, and the whites versus this, that, and the other, because at least I do, because living down there, especially that was a matter of, I guess you could say, survival for us as black people, and that's why I don't understand this whole immigration thing, because at least for us, for black people, when we travel globally, whether it be military service or if you have people and family members that work in the government, that's a matter of just safety and security, knowing the terrain that you're going to go to. So I just find it weird that they put the burden on us when they get here versus them going out of their way to research and to get to know our culture, our history properly, and really hone in on our our customs and norms and stuff. But while I was down there, I remember writing a paper on the whole situation on the Elian Gonzalez thing, and I remember I've always rooted for the Haitians and stuff like that, and my sister, with her husband, she donates clothes and stuff. Like, they've talked about going there, but he's adamant he doesn't want to go back. Like, he makes that very clear. And it's really hard listening to this stuff, because it's just like, at this point, that's why I have to, compartmentalize my emotions and feelings, and focus it on these specific perpetrators of this misinformation, because at least for me on the ground, or for you, Newstoter, we kind of know who's who and what's what here in Florida. So, but at the same time, for these characters online, man, it's just I'm like Black majority. I'm losing patience, and I don't even have the energy anymore to want to even listen or understand what, if at all, their talking points are at this moment, because it's intentional harm at this point that they're causing towards our people now. That's just the bottom line. And even the other day, there was another room that the guy Alfred, who openly talks about being a communist, and he's trying to argue with a girl, telling her that she wasn't matter of fact, I think she's in here now. One of the people here, Melissa, he was arguing with her, basically telling her that her experience with Dominicans or something or Trinidadians wasn't true. It was just crazy. Like, they think that people just make some of this stuff up. And like I said, we were stationed in Sardinia, and we lived in Bermuda. And, even after the base in Bermuda closed, my dad worked alongside with the Bermudian government. So I know firsthand how a lot of Caribbeans, especially on their islands, operate. And all this stuff that they're trying to say online, I'm just not buying it at all. So that's why I've been speaking up more, because I'm just fed up with it. I'll end there. It's back.
Thank you, Ayon. Let me give a shout out real quick to Nightfall and Cognitive for their contribution on Cash App. Ish, I'm gonna get to you because I know we was talking and then your sound just went out. But I'm not sure who this person is on YouTube. Bawana, I can't even pronounce your last name. You say, "Oh, this is a Black immigrant hating channel." The Blats. So the Blats are doing their nativist thing. First off, this ain't no Black immigration hating channel at all right here whatsoever. I got plenty of homeboys that's Caribbean. So, I mean, I got respect and love for a number of Caribbean people and stuff in Florida. But at the same time, you're not going to sit up here and just write this BS article that this dude wrote sitting up here talking about black Americans and, you know, basically your lack of your knowledge of your own history and how you're ashamed of this and ashamed of that, and how your people stood up and fought, and we just basically we didn't fight. We just was looking for self-preservation and all this other nonsense as well too. Especially somebody, like I said before, that came in this same room and I schooled them on the history of Haitians in Florida and the actual support, the outpouring of support that they got from Black Americans. So no, ain't nobody sitting up here, ain't nobody hating on him or anything else like that as well too. So you can sit up here and say that. And matter of fact, the link is up in the in the space. If you want to come over here to Twitter and come up in this conversation, Bawana, you can come up here and say what you want to. Now, I'm sure on some of these Black immigration channels, these Black immigrant channels where they hating on Black Americans, you're not sitting up in there talking about y'all stop talking about Black Americans. I haven't said one thing in here offensive whatsoever about Black immigrants. And this dude here, I'm not going, you know, he's supposed to come up in this space and explain this article that he wrote tonight as well too. He just all of a sudden had a meeting to go to. So we'll see if he actually shows up. But I'll tell you like this right here, we're not going to sit up here all night and wait on him. We're going to have this discussion. We got more than enough people up in this room to have this discussion. We're not sitting up here. And, you know, if he was that much of a man, he would come up in the room and he would have came up and he would have said what he had to say with his chest out. But he didn't. So, I mean, hey, we're not going to sit up here. We're not going to wait on this dude. So let me go ahead and get back to Ish. Ish, go ahead and finish your point, because you were talking and then me and DJ tried to get you, but we couldn't hear you no more.
Yeah. Do you know where I left off? I just want to.
I'm going to be honest. We don't.
Talking about the percussionist. It was a percussionist that you're friends with.
Oh, yeah.
They love you on the YouTube, Ish. They love you on the YouTube. Come on, with it.
Thank you. No, thank you. I want to sneak this into, just because you said something about the Haitians in Florida. Just so you guys know, total amount that's been donated to Haiti from the U.S. is a little over 141, I think, billion. It might be million. Don't quote me on which one it is.
No, I need my money back.
A little over 100 million of that has actually been generated by Black Americans through musical donations, fundraisers, concerts. We've actually had a multitude of different celebrities and even, you know, common folk who have donated money specifically to Haiti, to aid Haiti in multiple different things. And so just to be very clear, Haiti has never, nor has the Haitian community ever collectively donated anywhere near that amount to the Black American community in reciprocation. So that does need to be noted in the space if we're talking about reciprocity and we're talking about influence, because again, you know, influence is about success and the longevity of that success. But I was mentioning the percussion. I was simply just making the point that there are ethnocultural distinctions between Black Americans and other folks in the melanated diaspora. And we find that usually is respected for other communities, but not for our community. And I was specifically talking about Fela Kuti, who mentions in his biography, Sandra Isadora, who was a Black American. She was also a Black Panther. And he mentions in his biography that is where he got his sound from. And as for those of you who know a little bit about music history, you know that Fela Kuti is credited as being the father of Afrobeats. Well, she is credited as being the mother of Afrobeats. The sound and the concepts behind Afrobeats that birthed his sound. And he's admitted this publicly in his own biography, but also there's some lovely articles where she's been influenced by folks on the continent as well, who make the stake. And I'm saying that because the question stands to reason. I mean, when we're looking at an article like this, essentially it comes down to the focal point of the argument, and that is, what is the problem with Black Americans having ethnocultural autonomy? There are clear distinctions between melanated ethnic groups. What is the problem with us just claiming our own ethnocultural autonomy? Why does that hurt you? Because I feel like this entire article is kind of wrapped in rejection, this feeling of being rejected and not being included in our culture. But it's the same standard for your community. I'm not Haitian. I don't speak patois, right? I don't have, I'm not a part of a nation that paid millions and billions of dollars to our colonizers and find ourselves in a desolate country, hundreds of years later. with no remnant or longevity. Again, we're talking about success here. So influence implies success and the rate of that success and the longevity of that success. So why does it bother you so that we are exercising something that everyone in the world does, and that's delineation? Thanks for letting me speak.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, I don't know what this guy's talking about. Here's the thing right here. If it was me and, and I was a Haitian dude, I'd be worried about my actual community, the people over there that's catching hell and everything else. I'd be trying to, put on fundraisers. I'd be trying to raise funds for the people over there, get them clean drinking water, get them food. I'd be trying for the people that's over here in this community that was Haitian. I'd be trying to set up scholarships and everything else like that. I wouldn't be worried about how Black Americans viewed themselves. That would be the last thing in the world that would be on my mind. So if you're putting all this effort into what Black Americans historical, I don't know what you're talking about what we are and what we aren't or whatever, who gives a damn? I mean, really, who gives a damn? Nobody. I mean, we don't sit up in these spaces and talk about, well, a really Jamaican person is really really this and that, and they should really go back and not be ashamed of their African roots. Like, who cares? Be who you are. If you're so high on being, having African ancestry, I have African ancestry. Every person on the planet has African ancestry. I've never denied it. Anything else like that, I'm not ashamed of it. Just like I know there's African blood in me, there's European blood, there's Native American, there's all kind of different things in me. I have no issue with that whatsoever. But my main thing is right here is that we see all these horrific pictures on TV. They're showing the actual gang violence over there in Haiti. They're showing how people, are running down the streets, and then, it's just all out hell over there. Why don't you worry about trying to fix these people's lives over there? Worry about your people over there, trying to help them better themselves as much as you can from over here. That would be my main thing. Sitting up here worried about how another ethnic group, just because they're Black, how they view themselves, that should be the least of your worries there. You're a young man. Put some effort behind something that's going to be positive and constructive for your people. Do something for them. Don't sit up here worrying about you trying to tie. How can we try in that article? How can we tie spirituality, American spirituality, to voodoo? How can we tie this to hip hop and jazz? And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I mean, it's two totally different things. You was in one different part of the world. We was in another different part of the world. And yes, we were captives of white people and stuff. But even then, our history is still somewhat different, because we were in a country that was totally controlled by white people. You were in a country that was controlled by white people too. But like Aeon said, the people forget about this. The French, the British, all of your colonial masters was 5,000 miles across the pond. That means their greatest militaries and stuff like that was over there as well too. I tip my cap for you guys becoming the first slaves in history to go ahead and do something monumental. But at the same time, don't sit up here, man, and talk about that, because what Black people have done in this country as well too. You're talking about a group of people who don't own a damn land, a group of people that is a nation within the nation, yet this people per capita, people always want to bring in the per capita crap. Per capita, the amount of influence and cash that Black people got in this world for a group of people that don't even have a damn country to call their own, totally their own, the amount of stuff that they've accomplished and achieved has never been seen before in world history. Nobody can compare that. People can sit up here and talk about the Jews and Israel. They at least got a nation they can say is theirs. We don't have anything except the United States of America, and what we've done has never been replicated or seen before in the history of mankind. So don't sit up there telling us, patting yourself on the back, talking about all the great things that you and your people have done while trying to blow smoke on ours. What we've done has never been seen before. You got people all over the world imitating a group of people who don't even have their own homeland that they could say is theirs. The United States, everybody looks at the United States as being white people country, and that we just here, even though we built the country. Y'all, people have their own homelands and everything else like that. So I mean, please, this nonsense that you're talking about doesn't even make any sense. And I wish you would have brought your Black behind up in here so you could explain this article. Because like I said, the same way I've seen people at my church, people in my community, people in my neighborhood from the time I was a little boy, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, raising funds, putting on food drives, everything else out there with picket signs, marching, protesting on the behalf of Haitians in the state of Florida. Okay, you can sit up here and talk about this and that. Apparently, we knew we were black enough to go ahead, and we saw another group of quote unquote black people being punished by the American government. At least we had enough fortitude to get up there and try to do something about it. Made our voices heard. No, nobody. Now your Caribbean brothers that was also down there in South Florida. I didn't see a bunch of Jamaican people holding up picket signs protesting for y'all to come over here. I didn't see a bunch of Bahamian people holding up picket signs for y'all to come over here. I didn't see a bunch of Puerto Rican, Dominicans, none of these other groups. There was one group and one group only that sat out there and that was saying, you know what, this is not fair. This is not right. If you're going to go ahead and you're going to let those Cubans come over here, if you're going to let all these Mexicans come over here, you're going to let all these other groups of people come over here, it's only right that you allow these people also to come over here. You talk about political unrest is a key to people being able to come over here where their whole country is under political arrest. They have all kind of coups and everything. Every time you turn around, it's only right. And then when you came into the neighborhood, it was black churches that was opening up their doors, inviting you in, giving you a hot meal. So let's stop. Don't sit up here because you went to class, you were in elementary school, and in a class of 30 kids, you might have had 2 or 3 of them up here picking at you, while the rest of the class didn't do anything to you and talk about, well, you know what, I just got bullied. I got bullied. That all they did was bully me. Out of 30 kids, you had 3 kids in class picking at you. And though you may have had the other class laughing because somebody told a joke, they still weren't picking at you and insulting you and doing all kind of stuff to you. So, man, let's sit up here and don't tell us about our culture. We know I'm sure we know Black American culture better than you know it. Let me go ahead and get to, oh, Lord. Let me go ahead and get to, I see Andre, you up here. You see the topic we talking about, Andre? So we're going to stay on that topic. And we're going to go ahead and let you get to it. And I'm going to go ahead and get to Professor and the rest. And anybody else that wants to speak tonight, man, y'all come on up here. Like I said, this dude was supposed to come up in here, but at the last minute, you know, he decided that, hey, he knew it was going to be some smoke waiting on him. It was a bunch of people that wanted him to come up in this space as well, too, because they wanted to address him head on. And your boy said he thought otherwise. Now he'll probably drop a little comment tomorrow. If this dude drops any comment, if he doesn't come up in this space tonight and he drops any comments, just ignore him. Let him know, like, hey man, you had your chance to come in here. You didn't have any problem dropping your little article, but then when it was time to go ahead and defend that article or whatever, hey, you don't have no parts of it. So if he's putting stuff, oh well, yeah, and Black American, that all this other stuff, like, hey man, I don't even want to hear it, because you had a chance to come up here and address any issue that the people in the space would have had. You could have went ahead and told us your whole point of view of it. What were you trying to achieve and everything else? Instead, you decided to go ahead and take the safe route and not come up in here. Andre, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, drop me real quick.
Okay.
What's up, family? I'm winding down. Had a long day. Just got back from work, but I did see the title. Just felt like throwing my 2 cents in there. How you doing, Newstoter?
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, man. So I raised my hand after one of the speakers spoke about communism. It was kind of just like a passing reference at it. It seemed like it was supposed to be this taboo thing that was really bad. We never really got into it. A lot of history behind it, not only internationally and in Africa, but in this country. So if we're gonna talk about it, I just want to make sure we're not following some of the.
Oh no, we're not talking about communism. Somebody may have mentioned that in passing, but yeah, we talking about the actual the brother that wrote this article, a Haitian dude, talking about Black Americans and talking about the rejection of African influence in Black American culture. So that.
Did you feel like that's? I got some idea of what the response to that was, but for the record, how are we feeling about that article? Because I didn't read it, but
I thought the article was BS. That's what I thought it was.
You don't think that there is anything valid in what he perceives?
Well, the man pretty much was saying that, hey, we had an identity crisis, that we didn't know who we were. Basically, that's what he was saying.
That's just totally out of left field. You don't know where they're getting that from. It's impossible that people could have an identity crisis. Even the United States has been they argue that we don't know who the fuck we are.
Hey, watch your language. Watch your language. Watch your language.
It's so outrageous.
Well, when somebody's sitting up here, well, let me ask you a question, Andre. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that we're rejecting our African influence, that we don't know who we are?
Well, I mean, as a people, I think we definitely have an identity and the culture and all that other stuff. But I definitely understand that it's the process. Nothing is just handed down. It's not given, right? And it's a process. It's not something you just say. You can observe over the years what the case is, right? So it's not really about an opinion. You can talk about, hash it out. But I don't understand. What are you asking me? You asking me if I think we have an identity crisis?
Well, you asked me that basically from what I'm understanding of the conversation so far. You were saying, was he wrong for what he said? And so I asked you, well, is he wrong? Do we have an identity crisis? Are we rejecting the African influence in Black American culture?
I think that's a broad claim. I think if you wanted to hash that argument out, it would be interesting. I mean, if anybody's interested in my opinion, I think you could make that argument, sure. But yeah, it's a tough question, and I think we all have to reflect on that. I don't think the answer from any one person's perspective really answers the question completely. I think the history speaks for itself. I think that's the most honest answer I could give. But I did want to touch really quickly on the communist thing because
I don't want to. I'm gonna be honest, Andre. I don't want to touch on the communist thing. Yeah, but that don't have anything to do with the conversation, though. Yeah.
You're saying that it doesn't.
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't have anything. The communism don't have anything to do with the conversation that the dude talking about.
I just announced that this is what I was about to say, but you don't know how I'm going to tie it into what we say.
Well, I'm letting you know that right now that communism doesn't have anything to do with the conversation tonight. That's what I'm saying.
Talking about African influence. You don't think communism has...
He's saying that culturally that Black Americans have gotten rid of, that Black Americans reject everything that's African. He didn't say anything about communism. He's saying that Black Americans reject everything in terms of their spirituality, their food, their music, their whole identity is that Black Americans are rejecting this. That's what he's saying.
But you're not letting me cook. I was going to tie it in, but you're saying that because I'm responding from somebody else bringing it up. You didn't say anything.
Andre, let me ask you a question. Andre, where are you from? Andre, where are you from? Andre, where are you from? Because here's a problem here. Nobody else, I'm not going to go back and forth with you. Nobody, not any of the men in here, not any of the women had an issue addressing the actual question here. You're the only person that wants to sit up here and everybody's in right field and you want to go to left field. You're talking about communism and this and that or whatever. Listen, you can address actually what I just said, or you can go, what you can do is read the article. It's up in the Jumbotron. How about you read the article and then you come back, you educate yourself, and then we can have this discussion. Because right now, you just, you're trying to go, every time you come to these spaces, you try to go left field when we're talking about something. So I'm going to go ahead, Andre, and we're going to move on to the next speaker, man. And then when you get a chance to read that, we'll bring you back. You stay on topic. So thank you, Andre. Good Lord. Every time this dude comes up in here, he finds a way to go ahead and just switch the topic and start talking about something that makes no sense, something that it has nothing to do with the damn conversation whatsoever. Somebody may have mentioned communism. What's that? I don't know where he's from, but I know he come up with some stuff. He come up with some mess every time he come up in these spaces. He won't stick on the topic. And he gets upset because you won't just let him ramble on and ramble and ramble and ramble Like, no, man, you're going to sit up here and you're going to talk the same way everybody else, every other grown person came in here talking about and addressing the topic. Not going to sit up here. Next thing he'll be talking about communism, and he'll be talking about the nuclear warheads and all this other kind of stuff as well, too. So, I mean, I don't want to hear this stuff, man. I don't want to hear it. Stick to the...
Communism has nothing to do with our nation. It's not like we're talking about something.
Communism has...
Maybe
It has nothing to do with the conversation at all tonight.
Bringing it up. That's exactly right.
It's deflection. It's a deflection because before he said that, you asked him the question of, in terms of the history, he said it could be said, and history tells the tale. But here's the thing: history absolutely does tell the tale. That there are things that Black Americans have been doing for over half a millennia that weren't being done. Right? History tells that tale. These are facts. This is why I brought up the percussion thing too, because people love to tie those things together. But anyway, I don't go off. I'm just saying,
he just comes, and that's why because I'd be hesitant to even bring this dude up because he just babbles. It's just rambling on. And then he, like I say, that's why I asked him where you from, man, because anytime you start talking about racism, white supremacy, this dude started talking about all kind of different things that don't mean one iota. So yeah, I don't even want to hear this stuff with this dude tonight. Let me go ahead. I said we got Art up here, and we got we have another Yoki. So I'll get to Art, and then I'm gonna get to you, Miss Yoki as well too. I hope I'm pronouncing your name because I do butcher names. Who said something?
Brother Ray, do me a favor, check your text messages.
All right, and I get a chance, I'll look at it, Ray. Also, for those that can, once again, we need people to sign up to the for the membership, $1.75. Go to newstoter.com. I got it up in the customer portal in the Jumbotron on the far right hand. It takes a minute to go ahead and set up an actual account. Only a minute. For $1.75, you can support us monthly. For those that can't do that, we do have the Cash App, $Newstoter, Newstoter, independent Black media, Black American-owned media. We need that support, guys. We need that support. So for those that can support us, it is greatly appreciated. Art, go ahead and unmute your mic. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Well, look, if we go by Autonomy theory, the rejection of African influence, everybody has their own right. Unless you're claiming you're an African. If you're European, you're not respecting your African influence, quote, quote. Or don't you have the same identity crisis? I don't know, just me. I posted in the Jumbotron an actual geneticist saying there's no diagnostic nucleoid that can say if this person comes from Europe or this person comes from Africa. So if the geneticists don't know, how do all these Twitter scholars know where people come from? I guess they did all of our genealogy. It's kind of weird. Y-DNA and T-DNA only measures one person each per generation. Problem with that is you go back 10 generations with it's like 2,000 people, 2,000 of the grandparents. You go back 20 generations, you got 1 million grandparents. So 20 generations that's only 40 people out of 1 million. And that's supposed to define who I am. I don't know, it's weird. Also, I posted a Jumbotron, or the profile, I only posted one thing on Jumbotron, ancestry estimation and forensic anthropology. And then another article talking about down to the bones, facing forensic anthropology's legacy as race science. History estimation is just another form of race science. Technically makes the OMB the KKK in my mind. So I don't know why people want to adopt these Eurocentric ideologies and don't have any ethnic pride. So my rebuttal to saying
you were in the Matrix. Say that again. You was in the Matrix.
I said my thing that to people who want to talk about Mother Africa, why are you rejecting some of Africa's kids? Wasn't Elon Musk born in Africa? Where's your pan-African nationalism? And I'm going to post this in the comments too. I was reading about an African scholar, and he seems to think that pan-Africanism is the Eurocentric view, and that Pan-African nationalism is the Afrocentric view. So in his mind, and this guy actually lives on the continent, Elon Musk would be an African American. Go figure. So it seems like these Pan-African Americans, or these people who come over here to be, I guess, quote unquote African Americans, want to include everybody, but they don't want to include Elon. And Elon was born there. They want to include us, and we, most of us haven't been there for a minimum, at least a century or two, a minimum. So how do we be African? But the dude born on the continent is not African. That makes no literal sense to anybody with a rational mind, especially when you don't have a nuclear that can tell me that you come from Africa or Europe. It's weird. So we're gonna have to address this. I think it's way bigger than that. And for people who want to talk about race-based reparations, just to add the context, you're gonna have to prove that nuclear in court because you think they're not gonna bring that up. So I don't know. I think people should do their genealogy and have ethnic pride. If there's a superior race as human, then have some ethnic pride. I'll end there.
Thank you, Art. Let me read a comment real quick. Nightfall made that was short and sweet. He says, if FBA hated our African ancestry so much, why were we known as African Americans for so long? That's true. I know we had a speaker that came up here. Did she drop down? Okay, I see with your hand up. How do you say your name? I don't want to butcher it. I'm sorry, what was that?
Man, she having some major.
Oh yeah, you sound like you might be in the Matrix, sweetheart. Can you hear me? Let me go ahead and drop you down and you come back up because your phone, we can barely hear you. So I'm going to drop you down, but then request to come right back up.
That thing janky. Yeah, her name is Sakura Yuki. Sakura Yuki.
Almost like Japanese or something, almost like.
Yeah, those are like Japanese.
Let's see if we can.
Yeah, it's Sakura Yuki. Yeah, it sounds like some anime type of thing. Yeah, Sakura Yuki.
Hopefully she'll come back up because I wanted to hear what she had to say as well too. Professor, you had your hand up, so until she come back, go ahead and I know you had your hand up, right?
Yeah, I did. I just want to say, family, anything dealing with this guy Erikson or whatever he calls himself on these spaces, it's another distraction from what we need to be really dealing with. I'm just about tired of dealing with these tethers, whatever they call themselves, Haitians or revolutionaries or Marcus Garveys, whatever they call themselves, Pan-Africans. I just about don't want to hear anything from these folks because I still say, you talking all this stuff about what you did in 1804, well, how about you go back to your island now and do the same type revolutionary message that you putting out here to us over there right now, and get those Kenyan or whatever they call themselves, or Kenyan police officers or whatever's going over there in your island, go over there and fix it. This is all I say to these groups, man. Y'all come in here telling us how we supposed to do things, or what we supposed to feel, or how we should identify. Go back to your lands, your places where you have come from, and fix up that mess over there that needs to be fixed. And that's what I say to any of you. Just stay out of Black American business. Let us tend to our Black American business, and you stay out of the Black American business. And I land right there.
Okay.
Can I make a quick point to piggyback off of him?
Real quick, Ish. Let me see if I can get the sister up here because I don't know if her phone is having some issues. So let me get her up here real quick. Are you able to speak now?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you much better. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. I wanted to make a point, as in the title, we as FBA, we don't reject African culture. We're just tired of, how Tony says, the tether battle. And I am actually tired of a lot of these tethers, disrespecting, FBA, when it comes to our culture, how we speak, our swag, just things in general. And the sickening part that we are all tired of is that they don't understand FBA culture. Anytime we speak, anytime we talk about how they treat us, it's like we're hating on them. And we're not hating on them. We're just holding standards that if you come to America, whereas Black Americans are at, it's disrespectful to, talk bad about something you don't know about. All these tethers agree with white supremacists 24/7. They never fight back. They never have a backbone to speak up against which is common sense. And every single day I see on the app or just in real life, they'd rather work with someone that's against them than someone that's working with them. I hear a lot of FBA people, go to Africa and talk about their experience. And a lot of them say that if you say you're African, for example, they will tell you that you're not them. You're a Black American. But when you say you're a Black American, because we're delineating ourselves from them, it's an issue. So it's like a damn you do, don't situation. And I shake my head every single time when I see these Africans or people from around the world that does this to us. It's like to the point that you have to really check them in a certain way and don't get mad because they want to see you upset. That's the thing that they do. They can't understand the jokes. They get triggered off of every single thing, and they don't have the common sense to realize you're in a country where it's everyone from around the world who's going to look at you a certain way. The world is not going to give a shit. And sorry for cussing, but it's just the way how they act. They're very immature. And I've seen someone, they're really pretty cool, down to earth and chill, but a lot of them just don't give a hell about what foundational Black Americans say. They just want to hear what they want to hear instead of, understanding perspectives, understanding different common sense and how to articulate themselves. So, I don't want to keep speaking, but I'll let it there.
All right. Thank you. How do you pronounce your name again?
My name is Sakura Yuki. Just by the way, it's, for Japanese, Sakura means cherry blossom. So I did that for a reason. And Yuki means snow. So snow cherry blossom.
So Sakura, it is Sakura?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Well, nice to hear from you, Sakura. Definitely appreciate you coming up to speak tonight. Let me go ahead and get back to Ish, and then I'm going to get to Coach TP, and I want to give Coach TP a shout out, too, for the donation on Cash App. But go ahead, Ish, you got it.
No, I just wanted to piggyback off of what Professor and Sakura said. It's what's interesting about this, and I'm not coming from a sympathetic angle because I think we've been sympathetic enough, and now it's just like do your thing and we'll do ours. But like they're their own group, Haitians or Caribbeans, Jamaicans, whatever. They're their own group, right? I don't classify them as, and I think Art brought up a really brilliant point that Africa's not a race. Africa is not an ethnicity. Africa is a continental identifier, and Africa is a misnomer for that continent. So if we're talking about, even if we were talking about race, which I don't think that we should focus on, I think we should focus on ethnicity and lineage, that still would not be applicable to us because we don't live on the African continent, right? Cultures on the African continent aren't African cultures. They are cultures of people who happen to be on that continent. But the point is that when people say these things, it's like we recognize and identify that you have a unique and distinct history of your own as Haitians, as Jamaicans, that is also separate from the continent. You're Caribbeans. You have your own kind of diasporic situation going on there. And we respect that. What we are saying is do the same for us, that we also live on our own. We live on the North American continent. So we're continental North Americans. We're not Africans because we live, that's our continental identifier, right? And our ethnic group is Black American. That's our ethnic group, which also encompasses our nationality. And so it's the same. It should be the same. It should be equitable, just as people have the autonomy to express who they are. I don't connect you being a Haitian to Africa. I connect you being a Haitian to Haiti, to the Caribbean. That's what I connect, because that's what your geographical location is, and so on and so forth. And I just feel like it's those things are truthful and tangible and can be substantiated, and it should be the same for us. So we shouldn't even have to have this conversation. And I'll land there.
Thank you, Ish. I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get to Coach TP and Genesis. I see you as well too. We'll get to you as well. Coach TP, how you doing tonight?
Hey, we can let my sister Genesis go. I'll write something down. I'll go after.
Okay, not a problem. Genesis, go ahead and unmute your mic. How you doing tonight?
Thank you. How you doing, family? Newstoter, you're doing a great job. I just wanted to let you know I found out about you probably a couple of months ago. And following you since then.
Appreciate that. Thank you, sister.
Yes, and peace and love to the family in the room. I want to say, as a Black American Negro freedman, okay, I reject African influence in Black American culture. I don't know, I just came maybe 30 minutes ago. I don't know if people have been saying they do or don't or whatever. I do. If I look at my culture, which is y'all, right? And even we have subcultures here. If I look at any of them, there is not one culture on the continent, like my sister Ishmael said, on the continent of Africa, made up of 54, I believe, plus or minus countries, right? There's not one country nor tribe that looks, appears, sounds, is culturally close to my people, and vice versa. Like, I reject that. So as a psychologist, right, and let me pull up my little note here because I thought I was gonna miss it. This is a boundary issue, right? So when I speak with clients, and a lot of people have issues with boundaries, this is the world having issues with us putting up boundaries. We're calling it gatekeeping, right? But in therapy and psychology, it's called boundaries. We are saying, you know what? We've been having open doors, open windows, open everything. Everything has been coming up in the house. But now we're closing the doors, we're putting the gate up, we're doing this and that. And anytime you put up boundaries, people are going to buck, try to get over them, try to slam up against them and all of that. The only thing you can do is hold. And while you hold, eventually they're going to get tired of bumping into the boundary that we are creating. And we are not going back on it. So anybody that's in the room that's not Black American, understand that. We are creating a boundary. We are gatekeeping who we are. We find it weird that the rest of the world is so apparently or seemingly obsessed with our ethnicity, culture, and damn everything about us. It's weird to me. It's weird to us. And that's why we keep talking about it. But Newstoter, thank you for letting me have the station song. Peace and love to everybody.
Anytime, sweetie. Anytime we having a space and you want us to come up and speak, like I tell everybody up in the space, and anybody that's been up here, they know you're more than welcome to come up here and speak. Holy crap. I see we got some heavy hitters that done come up in here now. We got Twizzle up in here and we got Shay up in here. And it's been a minute since Shay been up in here. So I know Shay gonna drop the Pan-African stuff. So shout out to Shay. It's been a hot minute. Okay. Let me go ahead and get to Coach. Let me get the I can't wait. It's been a minute since Shay been up in here. Like, hey, listen, I like to hear different points of view, even though I might not agree with them. Even though I might not agree with people, I see my girl Stephanie give it a thumbs. Even though I might not agree with it, I don't care. I like to hear it anyway. So this is gonna tickle me to death right here. Holy hell! What Malcolm said when what Denzel say when he was Malcolm on Malcolm X and he saw his boy Shorty up in the Muslim spot. He's like, is that Shorty? Praise be to Allah. That's what I'm talking about. Like, oh, here we go. It's going to be on tonight. I likes this. He like the white man. He like, yeah, me and this brother, we used to sleep with white women together. Used to fry hair together. Let me go ahead and get to Coach TP. Coach TP, you got it. What's going on, man?
Hey, just shout out to you, Newstoter, co-host, everybody in space. The rejection of African influence in Black American Negro freedom culture. #FBA tale. There's definitely been some indoctrination, some assumptions without vetting, without asking an infinity amount of who, what, where, and why, how questions. We have two separate fights on our respective land masses. Our ancestors in our fight on their soil has been against these troglodyte Neanderthals under the U.S. Census classified as white European mafia peasant criminals. Their fight has been with people with their same phenotype, skin color. We got two separate things. We assume because of all the atrocities and the black codes, American chattel enslavement, wealth enterprise, Jim Crow, convict leasing, discrimination, the murders of our people, that everybody experienced what we were experiencing here, that had our phenotype skin color. And we were going to help them wherever they was at on the planet, and we did. We did it with our resources, our love, even our physical bodies. We went to war for other countries or people because of their skin color. And that was an error on our part. However, I'm looking at it now with this globalist agenda. We've already done the globalist work.
Hey, Coach, can we get you up a little bit louder if possible?
I was saying we done the globalist work already. We have a whole airport in Ethiopia after our Tuskegee Airmen. When these Ethiopians come here, they act like they got amnesia, like we haven't done it. So I tell the South Koreans when I go in these stores just to shake shit up. Why you got bulletproof glass in our neighborhoods? Without our ancestors going over there fighting for y'all liberation, y'all be part of North Korea, y'all be communists. I tell the Asians, without Frederick Douglass, you would not be a citizen of this country. I tell the Ashkenazi Zionist Jews to their face in my city when I found out. I've traced my family tree all the way back to 1815, Pamlico County, North Carolina, 1897, Beaufort County, Greensboro, North Carolina. My parents have since passed. My grandfather was not a cook in World War II. I have the hard copy of empirical evidence in my possession. He was a decorated World War II veteran in northern France fighting for the liberation of these Ashkenazi. We put our fucking blood on the...
Whoa, Coach, language. I let you get away with the S one, but come on, go ahead.
Definitely my apology. I get really super passionate when I think about my grandfather. Water running down my face right now. And he didn't tell me that information. It's just over 3 years ago I started tracing my family tree and just started getting these documents, getting an accurate history. We never had ill will for nobody. But once we found out people feel about us, misrepresented us on our ancestors' soil, from politics to athletics to business to education. We never brag about what we do because our motives and intent is pure. We don't always hit the bullseye, but our intentions and our motives as a culture of people is to do the right without asking nothing in return. Give you the shirt off our back. So now that we're in this position of standing up and acknowledging and amplifying our contributions and bragging on our ancestors, people are upset. And when it came down to lineage-based reparative justice claim, 40 acres of the mule, special field order 15, reparations, People getting upset. We're like, wait a minute. We just doing this to get the inheritance that our ancestors left us. We don't hate nobody. And people really got indignant. And we had to say, wait a minute. It's our ancestors' inheritance they left us on their soil. Now, don't let us break out our rest of it. We don't really do that. This is a Renaissance paradigm shift happening right now. Oh, we sticking up. We on our ancestors' soil. We have spiritual and natural help like we always had on our soil. That's why a majority of us ain't went nowhere. You can't tell us we're not from this soil. There's too many known and unknown cemeteries that are being discovered as we speak. Under the Tampa Bay Rays Major League Baseball team, our ancestors' bones were discovered. University of Georgia, here in the city of Philadelphia, Independence Hall, 6 and Market Streets, in New York City, our ancestors' bones are being discovered. So don't tell us we ain't got no culture. We know we got no culture. I got a family member that, like in the military, there was Nigerians over there. I asked him what tribe it was. He didn't. Yeah, they just gonna say they Nigerian. They were pretending to be us till we showed them. That is diabolical. We got people pretending to be us around the world, y'all. But we ain't got no culture. If somebody doesn't have a culture, why you want to be them? If somebody's nothing but, and you can't make us feel ashamed that we come from those who are in chains and their progeny is on the same soil and we're not. You know what we made of. That's why all the lynchings was 100 to 1. We come from a culture of boxing. This gunplay, like I've been to youth here in my city, coaching youth football for almost 20 years, and I'm still out here.
Coach, I was going to say don't go too long because we got to go ahead and get to some other speaker.
I'm very rapid up. I tell our young people, this gunplay stuff is coward stuff. We come from a culture of boxing. I used to box. My father boxed. My son is a boxer now. He's in the military. It's in our epigenetics. This gunplay came after the Carter Lift in the 1965 Partial Immigration Nationality that poor people here with our skin color. You had the Cubans down in Florida having shootouts. The Caribbeans. They came here down the shower posse from New York City, here in the city of Philadelphia, during the chemical warfare, government sanctioned crack era, thinking we was a bunch of cowards. A lot of them went to dirt. A lot of them ran back to New York. We don't bother anybody, but you bring it to us. You know what you got to do. The relationship that we have with these folks, just look at the TV episode in the 1970s. It's on YouTube with George Jefferson, all in the family. He called Archie Bunker a honky on CBS, on national TV. That's our relationship. We don't get what we got because of close proximity means tribal Neanderthals. We get what we got because of who we are. Speak my piece.
All right. Appreciate that, Coach TP. Appreciate that. And let me give a shout out to my girl, Goddess Michelle, too, for her contribution on Cash App. It's been a minute since, like I said, we had Shay up in the space. Now, Shay, last time, I don't know, it's been some months. I hadn't seen you around in a while. So I didn't know if maybe, it got a little bit too hot in the kitchen over here in the Newstoter Twitter space. But, I see you back up in here. So welcome back. I definitely want to hear what you got to say about this because I know you are a Pan-African thick and through. So, I want to hear exactly what you got to say about this. I don't know if you got a chance to read the article that Erikson published, but did you get a chance to catch that article, what he had up in there as well, too?
I will not speak on reading the article because I don't know what it is. I probably won't read it because I have a foundation in Black studies, I consider myself African-centered because of my education. With a and I know, Newstoter, you probably will interrupt my submission as you always do, and it's okay because what I say is triggering.
Now, come on, Shay. Now, you know it's been many a times I've packed you up in this space before. Now, but come on. But I'll let you go ahead. And I'll sit back. I'll let you go ahead. I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna chill. Go ahead. You got, and then everybody else too. Let me tell all my speakers on the space. Twizzle's next. So everybody, y'all let Shay speak, and then I'm sure a bunch of hands are gonna pop up afterwards. I'm not even gonna respond. I'm gonna let everybody in the room respond, but they can respond respectfully with their hands up. But go ahead, Shay.
So there is one of the challenges, problems that we have is the transfer of generational information from the older generation to the younger generation.
Can we get you a little bit louder if possible, Shay? If possible. If not, don't worry about it. We can get you a little bit louder just for the people on YouTube, though.
Oh, you want me to be a little louder?
Yeah. Just so people on YouTube can hear you good.
Say that again, WPI.
No, he just messing with you. But if you can get a little bit louder, if not, then just go ahead.
No, I know. I got to do this right here. Let's do this. I got my thing on my TV, so I'm gonna cut that off.
Yeah, nigga. He said you need to be loud so we can hear your lies. So go ahead. Why you lying, shy?
Okay. Hear me?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Go ahead.
All right. So, intergenerational transfer of information from the elders to the younger people. Now, this I think happened more so before the computer revolution and information through the internet did. And also because of the time, whatever was going on in the stars, where the Renaissance, 80s, which I'm a part of as a college kid, and all the great scholars were, buzzing, and we were having conferences and lectures, and people were going to lectures like we would go to, concerts. We would go to listen to either Van Sertima or whoever was in town, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark. A lot of West Coast, a lot of East Coast folks were getting more of some of those well-known scholars. But San Francisco, we were a hub, and we had the first Black Studies department in the United States. We had, and today we have the longest Black-owned bookstore that was started by Ray Richardson, who died a few years ago at 100 years old. She was one of my teachers, and she had Marcus Books in Oakland and San Francisco. So the Bay Area has a history of activism and progressivism with the Black Panthers, Black Studies. All these things are coming out of places in the United States. And the Bay Area was one of those hot spots where we were not playing around.
He's correct.
Yeah, and so I come from that culture, right? And this is what makes me be who I am. So when I hear the young people, coming with something different, you have to respect that young people are always going to come with something that's going to be different. Now what is the difference, right? So 2 years ago, I've already seen a swing or change in I'm FBA to I'm Black American. I don't have any African ancestry to I reject all African ancestry. Yet it's not really saying that I'm not from African ancestry. I think it's so. There's also been a change in the last 3 years since my very first room 3 years ago was with Mel, Yaya, Sunny, Moby, Movie. My very first space, and so they give me the whole rundown. What's your lineage? Who are you? I didn't know what the fuck was going on, and they explained to me
Language. Go ahead.
Yep, there you go. And they explained to me, language, sorry, language respect. They explained to me what FBA meant, right? And I said, I'm FBA, but as the week went on and I was going into other spaces, and I began to see, more of the bigger picture and go, by 6 months, a year down the line, I was like, I can't identify with this group because I see how they are with these other groups, and I'm not blaming one group or the other, but I found that the Pan-Africanists were not either they weren't arguing with the FBA, and they weren't doing that. It was people from who weren't Pan-Africanists who were saying stuff to stoke a lot of arguments and dissension and division and stuff. So they were, it was a back and forth. You started it. Well, you did this. You did that, like kids, right? We didn't do it first. They did it first, right? And when about a week or two after I was in these spaces, they had that room where they had invited. I think Tariq had been invited. They had like 20,000 people in that room, and I thought it was a normal thing. That there's a lot of people. I thought it was a normal thing, not knowing this was an exceptional viral room or whatever. So this is how I started, and I'm seeing the move, the swing, or the change, from this is how we are, and we are Indian, to now we're like this, and it is changing, it is moving. So this is my message to you. If you haven't found any African ancestry, or even not even interested, but your grandmother told you you were Isak, or you were Tuscarora, then that's what you are. That is an ethnic group. You were misclassified, right? But if your grandmother told you if you didn't have any, were from a particular name, then you could.
You breaking up, Shay. You breaking up.
Okay. You could surmise from the fact that if you are from a particular area, that those ethnic groups, whatever they are, those American Indian ethnic groups, would probably be where you're from. That would be one of your tribes. And even sometimes there's a larger group, like Iroquois has a bunch of subgroups there. And so you can, that is who you are. You're not Black. You're not African American. You are from the Iroquois people, and that's what you are. So for me, if I do that, I would be about Iroquois language, culture, spirituality, and even the people who are practicing it currently today, which seems to be a whole different people that have, appropriated your culture, because they are no longer dark skinned. This is a phenomenon. I can't explain it, but allegedly this is what happened. They've appropriated your culture because there are no more dark skinned ones, right? All of the dark skinned ones, guess what? They miscegenated with the Africans because there were Africans. But we'll leave that alone because your grandmother told you you were Choctaw. So that's who you are. You're not Black. And so anything that is about Black or African American conversation, because we're clear, people like myself who come from Louisiana and who have, people who did certain things, said certain things, cooked certain things, talked about certain stories, have a connection with Africa. Even though they didn't even say they did, because my people didn't say we were Indian, they didn't say we were African. They just was at the Negroes, and they didn't even talk about it, right? But one thing is for sure that's across the board, that if you go back in time, you can say, and I'm gonna land with this, that Black people, in many cases, not all, had a negative view of Africa, even to the point where if you called them African, they would be ready to fight you. This is what was said to me, that those were fighting words when you were in elementary school, according to my mother. So if you have that type of reaction to a word, that means that there's something, there's a story to that. And we already know the story to that, many of us. Now, if you're Indian, this doesn't apply to you. This is people of African descent issue. And it has to do with history, it has to do with indoctrination and the way people viewed Africa and the way white folks taught about African culture. Well, that's not you, because you're Pequot, you're not African. You are from a different ethnic group, a different people. So all of these things about voodoo and Africa is not your business. And I will land there.
All right. I see we got enough.
I ain't no African booty scratch. I'm Crenshaw Mafia sucker.
And I
We got it. We got to get the Twizzle. Twizzle is a new speaker, so we got to go ahead and get to a new speaker. Twizzle, go ahead and unmute your mic, and then we'll move it around. I got you next, Ish, and then I got Coach, I got Chalk. So yeah, let me go ahead and get to the hands that way. Rivy, I see you up in here, so I get to you as well too. But go ahead, Twizzle.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing? First and foremost, I got to pay respect to the host and the co-host. How the room doing?
What's up now?
Bishop here and everybody else. Hey, what's happening, y'all? But I want to speak on what Shay was talking about. Shay, I'm from the Bay too. I'm from the town. I'm from Oakland, West Oakland. I'm from home of the Black Panthers. You know what I'm saying? My daddy was in the movie The Mac. So I'm a foundational Oaklander. You know what I'm saying? If y'all know Chef C on this app, Chef C flew all the way out here from New Jersey, and he did a documentary on his page from the Soil TV. And I took him around, and I showed him that we did a documentary, and I took him where they killed QEP Newton. You know what I'm saying? That's how foundational I am. And I know a lot of people are having an issue with the foundational thing because some people may have a personal gripe with Tariq, but you have to put that to the side because, like I said, it's not about one person. It's about the lineage. Somebody said they traced their lineage to 1815. I traced my lineage to 1851. And just recently, I did a pilgrimage to Detroit, Michigan, finding out my mother's lineage. So none of this shit wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for none of that shit. Just like you, when I came into these Twitter spaces, I came in from Tariq, and I came in through the Security Tribe spaces, Sonny, Mel, and Booby. And ever since then, I've been on this lineage shit. And that's what the foundation of Black American thinking.
Language Twizzle, but go ahead.
Excuse me. You know what I mean? You know, I know the rules. You know, this is passion. That's what I fight for every day, man. When I'm in the streets, I'm in the streets. I'm in the real world every day. And I'm bringing people up to this, and I'm teaching people what it is. And I got so many people doing their lineage right now. I got people talking about they trace their lineage to 1756 Mississippi. You know, and it's a beautiful thing because, as they say, steel sharpens steel, so each one teach one. But I want to get to the topic of the room, the rejection of African influence in Black American culture. And I asked this question. How is this even a question to where we didn't even know nothing about Africa? We gave Africa their history and their culture. And to all the OGs in here, seasoned veterans like me, do you remember that old school rap group, Step the Sonic? Remember that song they came out with? AFRCFA, Mbola, Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe. That was in the 80s when we gave them culture. We brought them to light and we gave them significance. What do you say? Free South Africa, it's the motherland. You know what I'm saying? We stood for that and we've been fighting for that. So we gave them culture. They didn't give us nothing. What identity they gave us? They so not. We could just say this. And we, Black Americans, already know that the majority of us was here on this continent already. As I say, I trace my lineage to 1851 to the Creek people, the Seminole Creeks of Florida. So that means I was on this continent way before a European even learned how to scratch his head or learned how to walk upright. You know what I'm saying? And when we do that, that gives us our significance, our evidence. Not only that, that gives us our ammunition to fight and to stand on that we are real Black people. You know, as I was telling my friend in here, it's only 4 shades of man. The ebenoid, the rubenoid, the citroid, and the abonoid. And the ebenoid can make all of them, but none of them can make the ebenoid. We are the ebenoid planet. We are the ebenoid race. We are the pure people. We can make everything. Me and the Black queen in here can make all races, but none of them races can make us. You know? So, hey, I just want to land my plane there. You know, I dropped my 2 cents in because I ain't into dropping dimes. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have a nice one, man. It's a privilege and an honor, Newstoter, and I love your spaces, man. Tonight, hey, I can do what I can, and hey, next week I'm gonna shoot something to your space, man. You know, shout out to everybody, man, and shout out to Sister Ish, y'all.
Appreciate that, Twizzle. And Twizzle, I need y'all, like, he came in nice and loud like that, and I say that not because I can't hear you, but the people on YouTube have a hard time hearing. So if you guys, if we could get your volume up as loud as possible, if you got any headsets on, Bluetooth, anything like that, take that off. But he was nice and loud, and you know, people can hear him on YouTube as well. And Twizzle, you know, he be spitting the game as well too. Like, he from the Bay, so you know how they be doing. Short Dog and the rest of them around that area, they be spitting the game. I remember that time we had that late night space DJ when you had you and Governor in there. Y'all was, you know, relaying some of the little game and the player game to us as well too. So shout out to these brothers as well too. Shout out to Twizzle. I've got to get to my girl Ish again too. So Ish, I ain't forgot about you. Chalk, I'm gonna get to you as well too, but let me go ahead and get to Ish. Like I told y'all, and Rivy, I ain't forgot you either as well too. So I see you down there as well too. I told y'all that boy wasn't gonna come in there. He ran all his mouth and put out that little article and whatnot. It's like a little kid throwing rocks at the cars, and then people come out there, who threw that rock? Oh, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. So he did that. But Ish, go ahead and unmute your mic. And DJ,
can I say this right quick?
Go ahead.
I just want to say that thank everybody, and Sister Ish is putting together a Foundation of Black American cruise. Everybody, so get with Sister Ish so y'all can put y'all dibs in on the cruise that she's putting together, because this is going to be something monumental. We've been saying we've been on these spaces for 3 years now. It's time for everybody to get together, link up, match up, and even in some cases meet up. You know what I'm saying? To show appreciation and gratitude and thanks, because we're soldiering the war. And sometimes we need a little bit of gratitude and a little rub on the back and pat on the head to let us know that we're doing right, to motivate us to move on. So shout out to Sister Ish, man. I'm done, y'all.
Appreciate that, Twizzer. I'm gonna pass it to Ish, and then we're gonna get to you, Chalk, and we're gonna get to you, River, as well too. DJ Professor, y'all hold it down while Ish go ahead and do her thing. Go ahead, Ish, you got it.
Just a disclaimer, I'm not the originator or creator of that idea. Actually, some of the wonderful brothers in the city are the ones who are doing that, and I'm just helping to curate where I can. I'm getting in where I fit in, but definitely connect with the city, Brother Deontay and Brother Keo and April, because they are actually the curators of that. I'm just like a cheerleader for it. So I do think that would be wonderful, just because we need safe spaces for Black people to go. I want to go through a few points. It was mentioned intergenerational transference of information. So I want to be clear. Something that's really important about Black Americans is that we do have an oral history, just as everyone in the world has an oral history, but we also have a written history. And some of our written history actually predates certain groups on the continent, which is really important when we talk about the validity of being able to tangibly substantiate historical facts, and also being able to substantiate ethnocultural distinctions and differences. You know, obviously Black Americans are an amalgamated group. We have genetic markers that span over 4 different continents, including but not limited to indigenous, African, European, and Eurasian descent. And all of those things cumulatively come together, I guess, from a general perspective, and secretes and makes a distinction that is our ethnic group. So let me give you an example of what I mean, and I'll find the video if I can. I've been posting videos and links and things, so please, if you can, take a look at some of those articles. But there was a lovely video by this Hawaiian man, and he was talking about how Hawaiians and Samoans are 2 different ethnic groups, but he was making this distinction that Hawaiians and Samoans also have a particular ancestry from Polynesia. They have Polynesian descent, right? But the reason why he was making this video was to make the distinction that Hawaiians and Samoans, although maybe closely related, maybe cousins, maybe within the same diasporic hemisphere, they're very different ethnocultural groups. They have very different ethnic customs, languages, food, styles, fashions, linguistics, and things of that nature. And he was making this distinction because he wanted people to understand that there is an understanding between both groups, that while they may share in this, and in certain aspects of very, 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 very distant relatives or distant descents, there is a complete separation outside of the intersectionality, outside of the commonalities of their ethnic groups that make them 2 completely distinct ethnic groups. And people were very well received by this video. It's actually on Twitter, so for those of you who have a chance to look it up for yourselves, I'll definitely look it up and post it as I have. I'd also encourage people to look at the article that I posted at the top, which is entitled "How Caricatured Depictions of Black Americans Impacted the World." Some of this also had to do with our literacy rates. And this is really important for the first part, because when we talk about intergenerational transference of information, we're talking about Black Americans who are a group of people, one of the only, if not the only groups of people to raise our literacy rates by 70% coming out of and through chattel slavery, right? And that's important because it speaks to the intellectual curiosity, but it also speaks to the intellectual competency of our ability to research, to document, to catalog, not just our history, but what's happening environmentally and epigenetically with our people. So I think it's really important ways that we did this, right? Oral history, of course, our literacy rates. We also did this through, writing in our Bibles. We would write genealogy in our Bibles, write the names of our family members. There's also a lovely, beautiful article about how Black Americans were buying family members during and after chattel slavery, specifically during the Reconstruction eras and going into the Jim Crow eras as well, putting newspaper ads in newspapers to buy their family members for what would be called chattel plantations. And these were really just, Black people who were able to purchase their freedom, buy lands, and then would go and appoint one of the family members to caretake this as they went around to find family members. And it's very well documented and very well beautiful. So I think when we have conversations about the rejection of Africa, which again is a continental identifier, not a race, not an ethnicity, not applicable to anyone who doesn't live there and hasn't lived there for over 500 years, because we're continental North Americans, it's important to take into account how we have accumulated information and documented information in correlation to this conversation, but people who are challenging our intellect as well. The second point that I want to make, and because I don't want to be too long-winded, I'll try to be quick. Delineation is not intersectional with toxic division, but rather ethnic distinction and pride. And the reason why that's so very important is because in order to foster real tolerance, people go around with these little bumper stickers, the coexist and the tolerance bumper stickers. But what they don't understand is that when you're really truly fostering coexisting and fostering tolerance, that means that you are accepting of the differences, reasonable and logical differences, or just distinctions, no matter how microcosmic they may seem to you. But you're respecting of those differences, and that is what truly fosters a world with which we have equity, because you are respecting ethnocultural boundaries. You're respecting the boundaries of identity politics from a tangible perspective, right? Not people who are arguing identity politics and don't have proof. We're talking about people who actually have tangibles to substantiate that there is a cultural difference there, like Black Americans do have. We're talking about a people who've been on this continent for 500 plus years, and that's tangible, and we can prove that, right? That doesn't differentiate from the amalgamative aspects. It just says that there's an ethnic distinction, and that needs to be respected. And so I just wanted to make those points because I feel like oftentimes, as I said earlier in my first summation, when Black Americans are operating in a space of ethnocultural autonomy, people are threatened by that. And I find that to be weird because nothing that we're doing harmful in terms of just drawing boundaries of who we are and saying, this is ours, this is something that started with us. And we can go through that in the music, in the inventions, the innovations, and so on and so forth. Thank you.
All right, appreciate that, Ish. I see Shay. He must have packed up and ran. He did his little speech or whatever, and then he went ahead and he bounced. So okay, I see he got up out of here because he know from in the past that when he go ahead and do his little speech or whatever, everybody go ahead and go in on him. So I guess he said he wasn't trying to stay around for that beat in the night. We give a shout out to Miss Genesis. Oh, Shay Herbie decided to come back. Let me give a shout out to Miss Genesis for her contribution on Cash App as well too. Shout out to Miss Genesis. Let me go ahead and get to who said Chalk. Go ahead and unmute your mic. We got another speaker coming up here, guys. So if anybody wants to drop down so we can bring up another speaker, we gonna bring up one more speaker, and then we're gonna get to the hands that's up, and then we're gonna close this thing out for the night. So if anybody that's not up here speaking right now, you want to drop down, go ahead so we can bring up this last speaker for the night. I see Aeon, she dropped down. So okay, go ahead, Chalk, you got it.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Well, we're having this conversation again, but when it comes to this conversation, I always like to, think of, the ancestors, and what they thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was their thought process, and what would they think now? You know what I'm saying? And so the thing is, it's like we gotta stop. And when I say we, I don't mean just us. I mean the diaspora. You know what I'm saying? We gotta stop pretending like it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Or it is what it ain't. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, imagine being, you know, trafficked, taken into slavery, all these types of things. You know who did it, what tribe, whatever the case is. You sold into slavery, new land, whatever the case is. And yes, this is, even though there were people already here. I mean, we know that for a fact, right? But just imagine that. So my thing is this right here. I remember, and it's funny that we have this conversation. I remember this morning, I was riding, and I was thinking about my great grandmother, and beautiful spirit, beautiful woman, but an angry woman at the same time. Hated white people with a passion, but there was something else there. She clung to her roots. You know, things that were brought from the motherland were definitely on display. You know, in her artwork, quilt making, all that type of stuff, cooking. It was all there. But the thing is this right here. There's no way that we can, in 2024, going into 2025, let's just say the starting point is now. Let's just say.
We kind of lost him for a second. Let's see if we can get him back.
Your whole being, your whole existence is interrupted. Now, when you get to Russia, you're mistreated, put in the very worst conditions. Um, the worst of the worst. There's no way that those feelings um, are going to be overlooked. Like, you're going to pass this shit down, even if you don't know you're passing it down. You're passing it down.
Hey, language, but go ahead.
Oh, my bad, man. So I say that to say this. The trauma that's been passed down, the reality that's been passed down, has not been forgotten. You know, and the thing is, it's still going on today, right? These things are still going on. People are still being trafficked over there. People are still being kidnapped, murdered, raped, whatever the case is, right? These things are still happening, and it's like, it's very weird. Like it's, and I'm telling you this from a point of, um, working with soil-born Africans. Um, meeting them in their natural state before they get to the United States or Canada or Europe, whatever the case is. I'm talking about straight from wherever they're from. I've worked with, by the hundreds. And some of them were cool, but it was either A, an overall admiration, you see what I'm saying, or B, it was a pure hate and disgust. And these are from different countries, they're different people, right? But the thing is this right here. When it comes to us, like, I don't think there is anybody on this planet that has more right, to define ourselves than Black Americans. Like, nobody should have anything to say. Like, nobody. And I'm gonna say this right here, and I'm gonna land. Like, I remember when I was in Berlin, and I ran into this Frenchman, and I don't know, it was like a coffee shop, something like that. And he picked up on my accent. I was Black American. And he came over and he talked to me. And so he said, man, he said, your people, he said, you're a great people, and he was very distinctive. He said, I'm not, talking about, the Africans, from Africa, he said, I'm talking about, the blacks from America. He said, your people are the true representation of freedom. He said, and this is no lie, I swear this is the conversation. He said, everything that America says it is, he said it's really built off of you people. He couldn't really express it how he wanted to because his English wasn't the best, but I knew what he was saying. Basically, he was saying that everything that America is or portrays itself to be is because of the greatness of the Black American, not any other Black. And I'm not, and this is no, I'm not, and I'm not trying to be disparaging. I'm not trying to be, I don't know, divisive, whatever you want to call it. I don't hate anybody, but the thing is, you can't try to steal someone's culture or identity or, like whatever the case is. You just can't do it. You see what I'm saying? Like that's just not. It's not the correct thing to do. And to think that there's not going to be backlash or anything said about it or whatever the case is, like that's, to me, that's just foolish and naive. And, people have every reason to behave or respond the way they responded. And I know some things go too far. You understand? But nothing went farther or too far more than slavery. You understand? Like,
hey, Chuck, let me go ahead because we're gonna be closing this.
I'm just kind of ranting, but go ahead.
All right, I appreciate you coming up to speak tonight. Let me get to I'm not sure who this person is with the hand up. Is it Exhibitor Khan or something like? I'm not. We have.
Yes, peace be upon you.
All right, what's going on?
Make it short. Our prophet, peace be upon him, he said, the best of the speech is the short and the concise that gets to the point. And I've been, I discovered the FBA, because I consider myself Black guy, but then this is something coming up, and I'm not mad about it. You get deep into it, you understand, yes, they are distinctive people. They have a distinctive history, and they have distinctive experiences. Now, it becomes, I was going to this guy, what's his name? One of your FBA main figures, as I realized. I don't know if you consider Tariq Nasheed one of the FBA main figures. The guy made it into the materialistic things, like, reparations, da-da-da-da. And, we being young, I'm half of his age. And I'm listening to this. Okay, bro, I'm not here to fight with my Black brother. I've been here 400 or 500 years over this, because I will not allow such a thing to happen in Somalia or in Palestine or in Syria or Iraq. It belongs to a certain people. It belongs to a certain experience. But at the same time, you sense, and am I being heard? Give me like a good sign like that. That good sign if I'm being heard. It sounds like a Trojan horse where Black people, you are Black, your color, your melanin comes from Africa. Okay, some of you, like, when I listen to them, like, I'm an Aboriginal. Yeah, you are. You could be an Aboriginal. You could have been here in America. It makes sense, people.
Sir, let me ask you a question real quick, because but hold on.
I understand. You could be here before the white man. I believe that.
Are you an Arab? Are you an Arab?
I believe that.
So you're an Arab?
No, I'm not an Arab. I'm Somali.
Okay, but I mean, for the it's a bunch of Somalis over there that don't even identify as being Black.
Okay, wait, because Black is a color. You're not Black.
But by social status, I am a Black American. But I'm saying, but you guys don't identify as Black, most of you.
I was in that room, tied up in the sheets room.
But we're not talking about Tariq Nasheed's room. We're talking about. Okay. Hold on here. Yeah, hold on here. Now, your country and a lot of people in the Horn of Africa don't even identify as Black. So what's the issue? So how are you going to tell us what's Black and what's not Black? And not only that, I mean, You sound like an Arab, dude. You sound like you straight, like you own a chain of 7-Elevens. What are you talking about?
Or chicken shacks.
So I mean, you gonna school us on what black is?
There you go. I was expecting a different.
Man,
Well,
get out of here, man. You from the World Trade.
you come over here telling black people what's you just got here yesterday and you telling us what's black and what's not black. No, we tell you what's black and what's not black, not the other way around. Okay, you don't come up in here and tell us what's black. You're not black. That is a color. It is a color, and you are not black. No, we are black. Okay, we black and you not black. So we appreciate you for coming here and trying to.
Let me get this last point. I want to know who's the FBA leader, because it has to have a mission.
I don't have no leader, dude. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me go ahead and remove it. Oh, okay. We got us a troll over on YouTube. She says Newstoter has a little D. So, I don't know who this is. It's a chick. I don't know who she is. Nicole, maybe you have a stanky pee. So maybe you may want to go ahead and clean up on yourself and get up out of that trying to troll over there. Go get some wipes and tighten yourself up, sweet pea. We don't want to hear that kind of nonsense. Who was next? Because I don't know when the Arab dude came up in there. I don't know what he was talking about. This dude talking about he's Somali. This dude sound like he's straight from damn Palestine or somewhere. So he can sit down. Let me go ahead and get to the Countess. The Countess, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. I just wanted to go back. Oh, can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hey, we can hear you, but hold on real quick. Hey, Erikson, accept that mic invite, man. Accept that mic invite, Erikson. Come on, we've been waiting for you for 2 hours.
Oh, he's up in here now?
Yeah, he's sitting right there.
Oh, this.
Hey, let this sister go, though. We get to you in a second, Erikson. Go ahead, sister.
Okay. I'll be quick because I know he's the star of the show.
No. He's no star here. Let me assure you of that. Go ahead.
I just want to say I think a lot of the speakers, definitely not the last guy, but a lot of the speakers brought up amazing points. But I just wanted to really just put in my 2 cents real quick. I just want to say, in my opinion, it's not possible to be influenced by any so-called African culture because they are a continent of just ever-changing cultures that latch on to all kinds of things, like cycle after cycle of the European religions, like present day, especially the West Africans. They've latched on to the American evangelical dogmas, especially like the prosperity preaching. They just latch on to everything around them. So how is that their culture? And even something like fashions, there was like a whole controversy a few years ago about Black Americans wearing their prints of, their Ankara fabrics. And I know it's not that important, but it just shows because their main brand, Lisco, is made by Dutch. The Dutch, it was a Dutch company that made it up. They just kind of adopt everything from all around the world. Most of the food that they eat, that they brag about, their jollof and all this, the tomatoes are from the Americas. Everything they eat, food, that stuff, everything, they grab onto everything from around the world. They have no solid culture of their own. And it's ironic that FBAs are told that, we don't have enough information when they're the ones who don't have basic historical information of their own. So I just wanted to put that in there, and thank you for letting me speak.
No problem. Appreciate you. Thank you. We still got a lot of people up in the space, guys. Don't forget, for those that can donate and contribute on Cash App, it is greatly appreciated. $Newstoter, $Newstoter. But even more important than that, like I said, we want to go ahead and build up the actual membership. So if you guys can, on the right-hand side of the Jumbotron, we have the link to go ahead and become a Newstoter member to the actual website, guys. We need to build up our own platform and not depend on the likes of Twitter and the rest of these crap holes. But let me go ahead. I see we got We got Erikson up in here. Erikson, I'm gonna be real because this space started at 10. I ain't finna this space finna be closing out. So I think you decided to come in here and you figured that hey, everybody probably tired themselves out, and you probably decided to save yourself of a verbal beating. So I ain't finna. DJ got a space going on later on. They gonna go on after this here, but yeah, bro, I'm gonna be real with you. I ain't finna yeah, I ain't finna stay up in here too much before 11 by 11 o'clock. If that, I'm up out of here because we'll be going 3 hours, and y'all know we do it 2 hours normally over here. We'll go longer sometimes, but like I said, you put out that article. You said you was gonna come through, but then magically you had a meeting tonight or whatever. So everybody I read your article and whatnot, and we saw your little jabs that you had that you were trying to land. It had no effect whatsoever. I mean, it's
Put the article back in the jumbotron.
It's up in there somewhere. I don't know where it's at, but it's up in there somewhere. But oh shoot, it's up in there. Okay. Okay, well I'll put it up in there. But yeah, bro, let me give a shout out to my girl Stephanie, and let me give a shout out to Chosen 16 as well too. Chosen 619 wants to know, is Ish still in here? He wants to know what's Ish YouTube channel. I don't know her YouTube channel offhand. But Erikson, go ahead and tell us what was the inspiration and for a young guy, because I can't remember if he was in your 20s or 30s. You seem to know a whole lot about Black American culture and everything about us and whatnot as well too. So I find that pretty because I remember last time using the space, I kind of had to school you a little bit about the history of Haitians in Florida and how Black Americans looked out for them for a number of years and stuff like that. So even though you talk about the teasing and everything that went on in school, I went ahead and I told you about the historical things that Black Americans did for the Haitian population and Florida in particular. But go ahead and tell us how a 20-something, maybe early 30 young man who didn't even remember the stuff that I was telling him about what went down in the mid late 80s, early 90s in Florida, how you can know the hundreds of some odd years experience that Black Americans have had in this country and how we, quote unquote, reject the African influence of Black culture, while at the same time, out of all the people in the diaspora, it's been Black Americans that have brought more attention to Africa, more so than Haitians, more so than Jamaicans, more so than the Caribbeans all together, the people in South America, whether you're talking about just historically, whether you talk about educationally, whether you talk about entertainment-wise, it's been Black Americans that have actually been the ones that have actually propped up Africa more so than any other group in the diaspora. So now let me hear exactly what you got to say about that.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I appreciate it. Like I said earlier, I was in the meeting. I'm on the West Coast, so I know you said it was late. Yeah, I'm on the West Coast, about 7:47 right now. I just got in my car. Now let me put some context into this, right? So this article was written after I was in the space, right? And there was a couple guys in there that completely rejected, African influence in Black American culture. Now, I'm not saying Black American culture is African culture or African culture is Black American culture. This is not what I'm saying, because Black American culture is Black American culture. Now, when a culture is born, okay, first of all, we have to know what is a culture, what constitutes a culture. Okay, it's belief and values, language and communication, custom and tradition, art, right? Social structure, food, and I would say fashion as well. Tools and the stuff that they use, right? Now, music and rhythm, right? So when I said it's influence, we can say, Black American culture is influenced by, Africa, by other I would say European as well, because you do coexist with white people, with European in the same land. Now, in that space, Everybody that was in that space was saying that Black American culture is strictly derived from white European. Okay, it has nothing to do with Africa, given the fact that they coexist with white people. And I said that is not true, right? Let's take for example music and rhythm, right? You know, we
All
know
Black
that
American.
Say that again.
All music is Black American music, but go ahead.
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that Black American does not have a huge influence, right? Does not have a huge influence in culture or in music all around the world, right? It does. When we talked about, especially specifically in modern time, when we talked about Black American culture, yes, everyone copied after Black American culture. I'm not even gonna say American culture, but Black American culture, one of the most popular, one of the most influenced. But that does not negate the fact that that culture was born through an influence from the very people that created it, right? So now let's talk about music real quick, right? Music, we know in African roots, it's very evident that jazz, blues, gospel, hip hop, R&B, they use what we call polyrhythm, call and response pattern, improvisation. All these can be tracked to tradition. Instruments like banjo, that's one of the retention that African American, retain from African culture. Well, let me not say African American, I would say Black American retain from African culture, right? Dance and movement.
So let me ask you this real quick, Erikson. So you're saying without African culture that there would be no hip hop, there would be no jazz, there would be no blues, there'd be
No, that is not what I said. That is not what I said. There could possibly be, hip hop, there could possibly be jazz, there could possibly influence does not mean they are the same thing. Let me give you an example, right? Let's say if I come from Haiti. I already have, a culture, I already have something. Regardless of how much I assimilate into American culture, right? I could now if I decided to develop a culture here in America, it will be influenced not only by the culture where I live now, but also it will be influenced by the culture where I came from, right? I'm probably, if I have to build 5 things, I'm probably gonna take 2 from Haiti, 3 from the people that I live with, and make it my culture. That's how culture is made, right? I'm not saying they are the same. Of course, American culture have evolved into, again, like I said, one of the most popular, one of the most influenced culture, in the world. Now, when you decided to reject it, just because you don't want to associate with, whether you like it or not, because you don't want to associate yourself with Africa, you have all the right to not associate yourself with Africa. I'm not telling you you have to. I'm not telling you you must. But again, what's a fact is a fact. I can't just say, again, in that same space, there was 2 guys, right, that literally said, they will team up with KKK, with Nazi to deport Black people from America. Like, what kind of nonsense is this? What kind of nonsense is this? But you're telling me you want to team up with white supremacy so you could deport Black people from America. It's just crazy to me, right? Now, let me continue. Again, nowhere in the world, whether that person have been to America or have not been to America, there's anything in terms of the way we move, the way we dance, the way we do certain things, the way we do our cuisine, can come anywhere close to Black people, regardless, right? So if you look at the way a white person moves, the way they dance, the way they sing, the way they do certain things, it's not close to anything Black. When I say Black, I'm saying melanated people. But when you look at a black person, regardless where they form in the world, but regardless where they form in the world, there is similarities. Whether they anywhere in Africa, whether they're in the Caribbean, or whether they're in America, you can see some similarities. It is a fact. Okay. Now let's talk about the African American vernacular English.
I want to point to something real quick. I want to point to something that you said in the article that I found to be somewhat interesting. And let me real quick. I want to just because you said let me read this right here. So you say, so while it's understandable that Black American culture took on a different form. Well, matter of fact, I want to read this here because you praise what Haiti went through. You said, on the other hand, Haiti's revolution led to a rapid expulsion of Europeans, giving Haitians the space to preserve African traditions without the same degree of cultural oppression. African-based practices like voodoo flourished. The Creole language emerged with African linguistic traits, and African customs remained strong in Haitian art, dance, and community life. The difference explains why the Caribbean reflects more African heritage today. Haiti, Jamaica ended slavery long before the U.S., with Haiti achieving freedom in 1804, Jamaica in 1838. Unlike in the U.S., Caribbean societies had a chance to assert their own identities, embracing African traditions with pride rather than burying them under European ideas. You come and you further say, so while it's understandable that Black American culture took on a different form, this divergence hardly means African roots vanish. It simply means that white influence has permeated American Black identity to extent that it's hard to unwind, an unfortunate byproduct of a culture that prioritized survival over self-determination. So you're saying that, so you're saying by your own words that, hey, basically we were just trying to survive and we didn't have self-determination?
What I'm saying is, when you take a country like Haiti, Jamaica, you will find that African culture is more prevalent in those places, because although a country like Haiti, right, slavery was abolished in 1804. However, in America, slave, let me say that by 1800s, right, by the 1800s, the slaves or the native that was in America was already 3, even 4 generations removed from their African ancestry, right? If we compare the amount of slaves that come from, that goes to United States compared to the slaves that go to Haiti, it's nothing to compare, because there was way more slave coming from Africa, way more slave coming from Africa to Haiti than there was in the United States. Now, I'm saying that while the retention of the African culture is more prevalent in the Caribbean, I can understand where you might not see that in the American culture, and a lot of people might want to that the white people during slavery, just like it was in many other countries, right? In many other countries, they did not want you to practice your whatever you come from Africa with, right? Whatever you come from Africa with, if you know how to read, your kids would not know how to read. If you know how to play music, you would not be playing how to play music out here. Now, in America, most black slaves were 3, 4, 5 generations removed from that culture. They end up building their own without the direct, influence from Africa. However,
so that means that there was very little that means there was very little influence from Africa if they went.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That's what I said. It's not comparable to Haiti.
And also, when you were talking about the music and the dancing, let me just before we go any further, let me just clarify this right here. There's nobody in this world, in terms of just vocally, music sound anything like Black Americans, and that includes the diaspora as well too. There is no Whitney Houston. There's no Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight. There is no Billie Holiday. There is no Luther Vandross. There is no Marvin Gaye and any other parts of the entire Black diaspora, African diaspora as well too. There have been no universal dances that from the diaspora that went global, like the moonwalk, the cabbage patch, you name it, the twist, chubby check, and the twist. There are none. So when we're saying that, you know, what we all share this, like no, like in terms of like our style and stuff like that, it is so unique that now you have people that can get to the point where you got even white people, and then you have other groups that learn how to copy and mimic it. But just in terms of their own natural, if you go to these places and stuff like that, there is nothing like there's nothing comparable. Period.
Yes, it is true. There isn't the fame. There isn't the fame, but we can see.
No, there isn't the style. There isn't the style, and there isn't the same amount. And I'm not saying this to be nasty or anything, but there is nothing. If you compare, you can take all of the diaspora stars all together, and they would still be a distance second, third, fourth, fifth compared to what Black Americans put out just since the 1960s alone.
No, there isn't. Again, like I said, there isn't the fame, but there is the talent, right?
No. You keep saying the fame. No, forget the fame. No, you keep saying the fame. I'm gonna break it down to you. There is no, you don't have a Mahalia Jackson, you don't have a Shirley Caesar, you don't have a Duke Ellington in none of these places. No, you're talking about the fame. The fame only became because of the enormous talent that these people have. No, the best Caribbean singer that I could think of that I can remember just vocally would be Billy Ocean. And for every Billy Ocean that you had, there are literally hundreds of Black American singers. So no, no, you can't just say, well, it's no, you want to say the fame. There is no fame. There is no Michael Jackson any other place in the world but here in America.
Michael Jackson in the United States or Duke Ellington in the United States or Mahalia Jackson in the United States. So let me make a comment real quick before you close out.
That was my jam.
Yeah, I'm sure that was your jam. It was my jam too.
You can't just hop the line, Chad.
Yeah, because you spoke for a minute. So let me, Erikson, I'm gonna let Erikson finish, and then I'm gonna get to the new hands up here, and then I'll try to get to you. But like you say, before we close it out, but I just had to when we start, because it's like we're mixing everything in. Like, well, you know, we all, we may all dance different from whites and Asians. But just in terms of the actual style and stuff that Black Americans had, that ain't nowhere in the world but over here in America. Now, people, you got Shay, hold on real quick, Erikson. Shay, you can name all the people you want to. I don't care. You can, some of them can have even Caribbean backgrounds or African backgrounds. But bro, we can go ahead and if you want to, we can name a list out. We can do a space like that. You can name all these people from diaspora, and trust me, it's a whitewash. It ain't even close. It ain't even comparable. I'm just being real. Let's be honest here. Yeah, go, Erikson. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you because you came in late. So since you came in late, I'm gonna let you go ahead and get you a couple minutes in. But now DJ's gonna have a space. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes, and then we got to go on.
So again, what I'm trying to say is, no, there isn't a Whitney Houston. There's only one Whitney Houston, and it's Whitney Houston. There's only one Michael Jackson. Right? Now, again, what I'm trying to tell you. It doesn't have to be the same, right? But the influence is there, right? The influence is there. The similarity is there. The retention is there. Again, when you come out and say no, it doesn't have it. It does not have it. Every culture was built, right? The Cuban culture is Cuban culture. Haitian culture is Haitian culture. Black American culture is Black American culture. However, each one of them, just like when you take the culture from Dominican to the Haitian culture, right? They're different, right? Different things, different music, different songs. But however, both have their influence from somewhere. Some from the same place, some from different places. Haitian culture could say, okay, it's a mixture of all the slaves plus, the French, right? Now, Dominican could say, okay, it's a mixture from, from Spain and what we call the slave or the black people from Africa, right? So that alone, over time, is going to evolve, is going to get better, is going to change. And one night surpass the other. Just like Black American culture now, it evolved to a new, different dimension. People make their own thing. That doesn't mean they weren't influenced. Okay, they weren't influenced by something. I might learn something from you. I might hear you sing, right? And you sing very, very, very good. Right? I might hear you sing. You sing very, very, very good. And I try to learn from you, right? And I got better at it than you. Yet you still influence me. That doesn't mean, and mine doesn't have to be the same as yours, right? There's the retention that I can get from you. Again, I just told you, name a couple tools that use in American culture, right? Black American culture that were used in Africa. It may not be exactly the direct relation to it, but the influence is there. When you sit out here and reject it completely and that your culture is straight from European, from white, it's called being dishonest and not knowing yourself. That's what I mean, magical.
Not white, Indian.
Okay. Well, thank you, Erikson. Let me go ahead and get to and we had some hands up, so I'm not sure. Christian, I know you were one. I'm gonna go ahead and give everybody a minute or so because I'm trying to close this space out. So I'm gonna get to Christian. I got to get to Just Cakes. I'm gonna get to Karuchi, Ben, P. I see you up here too. Oh Lord, go ahead, Christian, real quick. I have no idea.
I know you're trying to close out. I mean, like you love to do with me, cut me short, and that's all right. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm not gonna hog the mic at all right now. But before we close out, let me just say this much. Peace out, all our brethren in the Caribbean, all our Haitian brethren, all of our Jamaicans, and everybody else from Trinidad, Tobago, all of y'all, man. We love y'all too much. We are Pan-Americans over here, first and foremost. But not only that, but let me also say that tonight the sisters tonight have been on fire, man. The sisters have been on absolute fire. And they just snatched the mic and took all the words right out of my damn mouth. All the talking points I had, the sisters have been absolutely phenomenal, extremely intelligent, and I love it. And
start zipping up in. Now hurry up and get your shit on.
Yeah, that's right. I need a little something, so no doubt. But you know what I'm saying? I wear nice shoes too, by the way. But hey, Erikson, don't run, man. We know we got another space coming up after this. We got a lot to say, but this is what I want to say. The main thing is this much right here. Newstoter, we can't have this guy just going on and on rambling and ranting because he says a lot of things that are not true and that need some interjection. So it's a lot of brothers here that can interject and bring up some very salient points, just like you did, that'll check some of that BS that he has going on. I'm going to land my plane right there, all right? I'm going to let it go.
Real talk. And Christian, make sure. Yeah, because DJ, he's finna start a space up. So DJ's gonna start one up, so don't worry about it. Let me get to Just Cakes as well, too. Just Cakes, go ahead and unmute your mic, sweetie.
Hey, what's up, fam? I'm gonna keep it short. I'll be in your space. But I agree. A lot of things was left unchecked. Well, you did great as far as fact checking them and everything else. I feel like he just really had a tantrum and just poured it out on paper because he's upset with the polling of Kamala. I feel like he's a shield, an immigrant shield that's upset that nobody's supporting Kamala and this immigration thing that they had going on. That's what I truly do believe. I going through his timeline, it seems like the troll and stuff like that he's being dishonest about what he's saying, because when he sit there and say that FBA say that they got all their culture from the white man, nobody in FBA culture says that. So you being dishonest, and you speak up on Haitians and Caribbeans and stuff like that, and you sound like you just recently crossed the border yourself, sir. And you have no room to talk stuff about us, pretty much. That's what it comes down to. what Trump said, y'all eating the dogs and the cats. I don't know if that's tied with the African culture too. I'm not sure. But like somebody else said, the Africans, they take from everybody, from every other race. You got Asians doing Black American dances and stuff like that. Y'all can't just town to everything. You have people who were original to the lands, and that's not just America, that's all over the world. It just shows how narrow-minded and small-minded you are, that you believe that the only way Black people got across the globe is through slavery, and that's so sad. And I'll end it there. Thank you so much.
All right, and don't forget DJ. Don't forget DJ got a space. I'm gonna let Apia and I'm gonna let Shay go so Karuchi and Ben can close it out. Apia, I'm gonna give you a minute as well too, and then I'm gonna let Shay go ahead. So I know y'all gonna be on the same page, but go ahead, Apia.
All right, thank you. First of all, I want to say that the universal definition of culture is different from how Twitter defines culture. I have to put that, make that clear. I've listened to all the things that you're saying. If I am to use that as a yardstick, right, to determine the culture, as we all know universally, none of it will pass to be culture. Now, I'm going to start an example. For example, when you say that moonwalk, right, in my culture, when we dance, that dance has a meaning. It has some level of communication. It addresses some point. What does moonwalk address?
What?
Moonwalk addresses?
I'm bad. Thriller.
Okay.
So much what you want to
I'm going to start it.
No, go ahead and let him finish, DJ. Let him finish. Let him finish.
I'm going to cite an example for you, right? Ghana has a genre of music called high life.
And nobody knows about it.
Respectfully, I'm citing an example, right? It's a genre of music. That genre of music is not our culture. Afrobeat cannot be said to be African culture. Therefore, if we are using the standard of hip-hop, it's just entertainment. Culture has belief system. Culture has right system. RITE. It's religious and spiritual. Therefore, if you mention it, Aretha Franklin, these are entertainers. These are entertainers. In my culture, it would not be regarded as a culture. So when we discuss the culture, let's be very, very mindful. In terms of the food, I can give you certain food that are cultural food, that it's not just given to people just like that. It's given on certain occasions because of the spirit that it comes with it. So all the things that
No, let him finish. Hey, and wrap it up, Apia.
I'm just trying to rush it because I have an hour, a minute. Gospel is culture. It will not pass culture. Unfortunately, it will not pass culture.
It kind of would, but go ahead, because the salsa is considered a Latin part of Latin culture. So I like the way you're trying to dismiss that, but go ahead.
No, let me ask you this question. For example, right? Aretha Franklin, what's the spiritual connotation to the Black American culture? Through the struggle, through the everything. How does that come in here?
Aretha Franklin was the voice of the civil rights movement. You know that, right?
She also funded it. Okay, see, it's like me saying that Kwame Nkrumah is a culture. Kwame Nkrumah is not a culture.
Okay.
Kwame Nkrumah is not a culture.
I don't think you know what culture is. I really don't. But I tell you what, you can in DJ space, you can go ahead and you can and y'all can talk about that, because I got to go to the next speaker because we getting ready to close this out. So let me go ahead and get to Shay. Shay, go ahead. I'm gonna give you a minute.
So just to give a little clarity, there is secular and sacred music in any culture. Our secular music is our music that is more trendy, it's popular, it changes all the time. It changes all the time. That's part of our culture, which is this contemporary aspect of our culture. But the sacred part of it that Aretha Franklin comes out of is the gospel music. That has a function and is sacred, and it is rooted in African tradition and African spirituality. So is blues. Blues also is African American. Now, what's interesting is when I first started American, not African. Excuse me, sir. When I first came into the room, people were saying, "Why are people so polarized and so reactionary?" Well, just because we want to have our own culture. Well, actually, in Pan-Africanist spaces, That doesn't happen because Apia's in those spaces, Erikson's in those spaces. He's from the Caribbean, Erikson. Apia is from Ghana, and we have people from other places too that are in these spaces. And we talk about stuff like what we're talking about now. But they don't go, well, you don't have any culture. You don't, what is this? What is that? No, that doesn't happen. Huh? That doesn't happen.
I never said anybody didn't. I never said anybody didn't have any culture. I never said any other country didn't have any culture. But go ahead.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that when I first came in, people were saying that people are so, and they're talking about Africans and Caribbeans. They're so charged and so, why can't we just have our own culture and our own thing? And why are people so mad about it? People are not mad about it in other spaces. And I'm talking about when I go into all African spaces and I, coming as an African American in those spaces, and I mentioned our experience here where I come from, they don't get reactionary. They don't get like, you don't have no culture. So the places that you're in, you're using those experiences as if it were everybody and all Africans and Caribbeans and South American African people. You're using those examples as a catch-all that's how they all are. When in actuality, whenever you come into the spaces that, for example, Pan-African spaces, we're all in there, and they respect the fact that we do have a unique culture. There's never any argument about you don't have a unique culture and that you don't. That is
bias.
Okay. Yeah, let me Shay, I appreciate because DJ's got a space coming up, so I'm gonna let you you can go ahead and talk in that. But one thing I will say is that whenever somebody acknowledges Caribbean culture, Jamaican culture, they don't say, well, that came from America. Same with Africa. They don't say, well, that actually came from America, whatever. So they acknowledge whatever art form or culture or food that's established in these countries, and they give credit to the people that's in those lands. They don't say, well, you know what, that really is a shared experience. That really came from this place, that place, or whatever, which you see with hip hop all the time and other things as well too. Well, y'all really didn't create this. This really came from that place. But thank you, Shay. Let me thank you, Shay. Go ahead and mute your mic. Let me go ahead and move to the next speaker. I'm finna land it now because we're trying to close this out. Let me go ahead and get to Karuchi.
10 seconds.
Hey.
So I was just gonna close
because it ain't 10 seconds. But go ahead, man.
10 seconds. I was just gonna close and say that those do happen. Haitians clearly know that all of those who do all of those things that come out of those spiritual systems, not only that it is from Africa, but exactly where in Africa it's from. Jamaicans do too. The Jamaicans that don't, and the Haitians that, I don't actually know any Haitians that don't, but Jamaicans that don't recognize any Africanisms is mentally enslaved and out of touch with their history.
All right. Thank you. That's longer than 10 seconds, but thank you. Thank you. Go ahead and mute it up. Let me get to Karuchi. Karuchi, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay. So, first of all, I don't really know what Africanism is. So, it's kind of interesting when people talk about Haitians and other Caribbeans being connected to Africa, but you don't cite where exactly in Africa. So, it's kind of like anybody could say that. But unless you're talking about people like there's a group of people in Cuba that have direct ties to a part of Nigeria, and they have retained specific rights in societies from that part of southern Nigeria. If you can't say where specifically that culture is coming from, I mean, you could just say whatever you want.
It said what specifically that they do in Haiti. What are you talking about?
Hey, mute your mic, Shay. Mute your mic. But go ahead, Karuchi.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you didn't say where in Africa, which country, which
I did.
Group, which one?
I said voodoo. In voodoo, they know all the different tribes.
Voodoo is very general. Okay, what tribes?
It comes from Congo, Dahomey, the Bond in Dahomey.
Congo is a colonial.
No, it's not. This is what I'm saying about people that don't know
history
at all.
Hey, real quick, hey, Karuchi, real quick, we got to go ahead. So we just go ahead and because we got to go ahead and get to the next speaker because we got to go ahead and finish it, and then Shay, y'all can go ahead and finish this in DJ space. But go ahead, Karuchi.
Okay, that's fine. So, I mean, I'll just say my opinion for Black Americans. I do believe that Black Americans are more akin to European influence than African influence, or at least there's an argument for that. And I would not have said that 2 or 3 years ago, but after spending about a year in Africa, Nigeria specifically, I don't see Black America in Nigeria. And I say that as a Black American and a Nigerian. So if there's another part of Africa where Black Americans are derived from, that maybe there is. But I'm just saying, as someone from both cultures, if we're talking about music specifically, the musical influences, I see them more strongly with European threads in the evolution of music. I don't see the complex melodies that you have in R&B and blues and jazz and country music. I don't see that on the African side.
Karuchi, real quick, real quick, because somebody just posted something that you had a space the other day, and you say, I hope they start lynching black men after the election.
We could talk about that.
Okay, well,
no, you could.
Well, yeah. As a black man, a sweet pea. As a black man, I kind of take offense to that.
Okay, we can start another space and talk about that.
Well, I'll let you in the late night space. In the late night space, I'll let you, because my boys DJ and Professor got a space going on, so I'll let you address that in the late night space there. Because okay.
Let me finish my point.
Well, go ahead and land your plane, because I got to get to another speaker. But go ahead and land your plane. Hey, let her fit. Hey, I'm gonna. Okay, we got too many people talking. I'm gonna give her 10, 15 seconds to land her plane, and we're gonna get to Big Ben. Brother Moku, you posted that, so come see them in the late night space. Come to the late night space. They finna get it popping. Big Ben, go ahead and unmute your mic. I'm sorry. Let her go ahead and finish. I'm gonna give you 15 seconds, sweetie, and then you got to go ahead and we got to move it on.
Okay, so my point is, you guys said something about Indians. I don't know about that. I don't know about Native American. But as someone who is a music aficionado, as someone who is very in tune with both Afrobeat, R&B, every form of Black music in other genres from other countries, and who was on Afrobeat before it became mainstream American music, I definitely see more of that being influenced by Black American culture than the other way around.
Okay, thank you. Let me go ahead and get the Big Ben, and we're gonna go ahead. Moku, we got you in the next space. They got you in the next space, so we're gonna get you in the next space. Big Ben, real quick, because I'm getting ready to close this thing out, and then. And Karuchi, sweetie, you come to that next space they finna have as well too. Damn, it's too. Go ahead, Big Ben. Go ahead.
Let me just say this: when we saw Michael Jackson invent the moonwalk out of his mind, we saw the beginning of a dance that people will be doing 1,000 years from now as civilization continues to exist. That is profound right there. We saw a dance that people are doing around the world. And Michael Jackson has been, it's been over 10 years since he passed away. There's been nobody like Michael Jackson. There's been nobody like Stevie Wonder. Oh, do we forget Louis Satchmo Armstrong? There's nobody like that. There's been nobody like Muhammad Ali in his prime in that boxing ring. Nobody. Black Americans have developed a culture, and that culture has developed under extreme oppression. So it's different from the Haitian culture. And I don't, our Haitian brothers, it's not the same culture. I know they practice voodoo. Let me just say something about voodoo.
Real quick, Big Ben, because we got to close this out.
Okay, well, let me put it this way then. Black Americans lead around the world as far as culture is concerned. There has been no march since that 1963 March on Washington. That has gone down as one of the greatest marches in human history. I've landed.
Damn, boy, I kind of wish. Damn, I wish I had saw that post early, Karuchi, baby. We would have had to put us a space on that there. I mean, you said a mouthful, that's sweetie. I get Lord. Now, if I ain't even finna touch that because it's too late. Let me go ahead real quick. Let me give Chosen 619 a shout out. He has a tweet over not a tweet. What do you call the things? Super chat. Chosen 619 says tethers often insult FBAs and then blame whites. Guys, DJ and Professor them finna have a hell of a space. This is gonna be a part to a continuation, and we may have to figure out what the sister Karuchi was saying about black men. I hope they start lynching them after the election.
Stop playing. She might be a queen. She's out there praising white men and thinking like she wanna kill black men and shit crazy.
But on that note, on that note, I'm gonna let. Okay, real quick, y'all. On that note, let me go ahead and close this out. Professor DJ, they finna go ahead and they finna start it up. They finna send out the link, guys. Y'all check it out. It's gonna be a live space tonight. Everybody that was speaking here, Erikson, come through as well too. Y'all can finish it because I'm gonna have to listen to this. DJ, you recording this, right? So I'm gonna have to listen to this tomorrow.
I ain't here to hold nobody's hand. I'm just saying because I got something to say. I don't never speak in these spaces because I don't want
Yikes! What do we? They should start lynching black men. Jesus H. Christ. Are we serious? Are we serious about lynching black men after the damn election? I tell you what, you come and try to lynch me and see what happened. I ain't gonna be no easy win over here. I promise you that. Oh, my mom, like it ain't gonna be no easy win right here. You come through that front door, you gonna wish like hell you hadn't. We done.
Let's give Coochie a chance to come up into the space to explain herself.
Let me go ahead and end this. Let me go ahead and end this thing. Let me end this thing for the night. Hey DJ, EHG want to know if you could send him the link over there real quick on YouTube because he wants to come through as well too. So
matter of fact, Chosen 619, Sister Ish got a lot of space over. Everybody come make an X account if you over there on Twitter or YouTube, right? You know what I mean? Mute your mics, man. What y'all doing?
Hey, that was me with the open mic because I'm getting ready to shut up. But
if you on YouTube, aka YouTube, just come over to X, make an account, follow Newstoter. You'll usually see everybody. WPI, Professor, we all over here. Follow everybody. Everybody follow everybody that's over here already. Come up on the Newstoter.com, largest curated news on the web. 30,000 articles pertaining to Black life. Let's go on over to the next page. I'm not here holding nobody.
Real talk. And we gonna get up with y'all tomorrow. We got another space tomorrow night. So peace and shout out to everybody, all the listeners, speakers, all the people who supported on Cash App. Peace to y'all. See y'all. Y'all make sure y'all hit up this late night space because I got a feeling it's gonna be a doozy. So I'm gonna holler at y'all tomorrow. Peace.